censorship is well, that only Johnny Roger has been through hell. Yo ho, on an adventure we go. In the heat digital high seas, we travel with ease until we reach the outer edge and freeze. The Arctic chill like a very steep hill through the darkness led by our will. Yo ho, on an adventure we go to beyond the outer limits of society, broadcasting the reality. The pirates will always steal the show. It's from WPRPN, you know. Yo ho, on an adventure we go. Dock our vessels in the Skullport Harbor. No land lovers will fight for you harder. Your old first mate went AWOL after a drinking Guild Hall. The legacy of pirate radio is strong. I hope our mates will come along. The changes we seek may not be long. That is why I wrote this song. And we go ho ho, on adventure we go.
Welcome, everybody, friends, folks, foes, and fellow pirate mateys, to our weekly edition of World Pirate Radio News. It's show segment number 322, special Skull and Bones extravaganza and more, including, how could one not address, of course, the elephant in the room, the LA riots, or as avid Democrat supporters, ostriches in human form, really. I mean, how much further could you bury your heads in the sand to think that what we are witnessing is nothing more than, well, take your pick. Civil disobedience, riots, there's peaceful protests. I guess that's how they put it. This is the protests. So gearing up for the summer of love, it looks like, potentially here, via across America. Buckle up, folks. It's going to be, could very well be a bumpy ride. So hopefully things do not spread any further, that the people working together, not just the powers that be, but the people working together can do all they can to stabilize things clearly and bring about a greater sense of peace, tranquility, and return to normal life as best one could possibly hope. So, having said that, I myself, as always, am your trusted host and companion, the Robin Hood's Chief Communications Officer, Jaffe Ryder. WPRPN.com is the website. We will encourage you to drop by, take a look at, sign up as free. All you simply need is a username, password, and email. From there, everything should be pretty much straightforward. If you run into any problems along the way, do not hesitate in getting back to us via our main email, pirateoneradio@protonmail.com. Be sure as well to check out the show description end of things. We got a lot of very helpful, handy-dandy links that will take you to groups, and mainly, along with, if you click on the DuckDuckGo news items, perhaps issues that you're not overly up to speed on, our PayPal as well, pirateoneradio@protonmail.com. We have a Patreon presence, online merchandise, coffee mugs, t-shirts, and the like up for grabs. You can help us out on the digital front. That's always appreciated. So on and so forth. Why not support Jaffe's fledgling independent music career? Drop by my man cave and check that end of what we have to offer out. Half of everything goes directly back to the grassroots. That's the way we roll around here. How could one expect anything less? Hashtag WWRHD. What would Robin Hood do? No idea why more, especially the larger, more established social media personalities, players, dare I say influencers, why they themselves do not choose to engage in greater, charitable works. Maybe they do behind the scenes, which is great, but, especially this day and age, really critical to do what we can. Those who are in a position to invest in a little more charitable works anonymously is ideal, I would say, but we've got to do what we can to light the spark under people's backsides, really, or at least encourage them and remind them that there's more that we all could do. The unfortunate thing is that if we are not in a position to, not just financially, but spiritually, psychologically, so many people struggling with serious mental issues, finding themselves in a state of a malaise, stuck. I know I've been there in the past, but now that I essentially am in a position where I can help out throughout the course of my life in this way, to serve in this capacity, then most certainly we're going to do with what's within our means. So Pirate One Radio at protonmail.com, not only the PayPal end of things and approach, but also if you have any guest suggestions or show ideas, or you'd like to become part of our email contact list, not that we no more than maybe once or twice a month tops, really, typically is what we do on that front, as far as critical breaking news or really pressing items such as what came our way just a few minutes before going live here. We'll get to this. Roger Hansen, we've got you on here via West Frankfort, Illinois. I guess now's as good a time as any for you at least to jump into the conversation. But do remind us of that, along with the Telegram end of things and anything else you see taking place out there via the wider social media landscape. Thanks as well for it picking us up and simulcasting. Let me just finish, though, by saying that supporters can also, as always, like, comment, share. Remember to hit subscription, notification buttons, and password along to your friends, family, and coworkers. We cannot emphasize how important this is. And it is good to see our numbers gradually on the uptick, as it were. Unfortunately, over on Odyssey, where this is taking place, as one example, now, and I'm not sure if you've noticed this or not, Roger, but we're no longer being credited for the views that our content is picking up. They've decided to sort of, I don't know if you'd say bait and switch necessarily, but shift the goalposts around, and terms and conditions may apply. So, welcome to episode show segment number 322, our Skull and Bones Extravaganza, Roger, and all listeners out there as well. Are you familiar what the actual slogan, one of the main slogan to what Skull and Bones, their modus, I'm not sure if you call it modus operandi, but something that they are expected to remain eternally vigilant and aware of. Do you know how that reads, Mr. Hansen?
The only thing I really get into when it comes to Skull and Bones is how they're perverts.
Ah, yeah, we're not here. We're not here to sing their praises this week. Trust me. We're quite the contrary. We're on a mission from God, and Skull and Bones, more a case of being on a mission sent by what would could only seem to be the forces of darkness. Uh, Convince me. Try to convince me otherwise. All you Skull and Bones supporters out there. I do believe you have a lot of convincing to do. However, but let's bring this up here. I'm not sure. Oh, we didn't do the screen share either, did we? We forgot to pull that up. So maybe we can do that now for you and the rest of the crew here. We've got Robert Morningstar coming in about an hour once we return from commercial break. So do keep that in mind, along with well, I'm not sure if Naroki out of Edmonton, Alberta is going to return to the fold or not. He's out there working the night shift. So we'll just have to see. Play that one by ear. Surprised Sonya didn't show up. Have you heard from her in the last little while?
She's been undercover for quite a long time. I think she found another boyfriend.
Oh, undercover. I see what exactly that does. Yeah. So there we go. Another boyfriend. Well, she needs it, and I guess we'll leave it at that. Let our listeners fill in the blanks. So, and I was going to make a little off-color, lame-ass joke about shooting blanks, but maybe we'll leave that aside for the time being. We've been advised that it might be something worth considering. We try to clean up our language a little bit here during the course of the show. Although given the fact we are pirates, after all, meta-modern digital live streaming, and a new breed entirely. That's the thing that a lot of people don't understand. They initially see us and they think, "Oh God, these are the worst sort of people to have ever walked the face of the earth." Well, you know what? Maybe in a past life, but this go round, we are what Pirate Larry back in the day referred to as piratas de Dios. My Spanish not the greatest, but I think, most people hopefully know what that means. It's simply the pirates of God or from God. I like to think of it in the Blues Brothers kind of sense of the way of looking at things. We're on a mission from God once again. Speaking of, and by the way, that's because in a past life we were badasses. Now we've returned to redeem ourselves. Uh,
Not me.
oh, you're just digging yourself into more of a hole, are you? Is that what you're trying to
Bad,
do?
bad to the bone, baby. The beginning of that song explains
Oh,
me
Jesus.
to a T. All the nurses gathered around.
Uh-huh. You don't think you're going to regret that on your deathbed? It's like, oh, geez, why was I not? I mean, maybe you are because you've talked about this in the past. Maybe you've got either that. I mean, do you consider yourself borderline psychopath? Have you taken those sort of
No, no,
tests?
no,
Well, you've
not
talked in the
really.
past of how saying you've either go total full blown like Satanist, for example, whatever that means, or
Mhm.
some sort of saint, religious
Well,
saint.
I've said that
You
there's
can't
two
figure it out. It's
extremes
like,
that
come on.
most people take two extremes, but I try to stay on the narrow, in between. I don't get caught up. Like, first of all, I've given up this whole Luciferian shit. I just
So,
don't believe in it.
since when?
I've always felt that way because, like, it's just, you do the research and you start finding a lot of things out. And after a while, it kind of
You don't want to join
it
the
kind of
Illuminati? I think
well, you
they
you
drop
wake
off.
up,
They send you a lot of money, don't they?
you
If you're
wake up
rich.
is what it is. You know what I mean? You start realizing people are just blowing smoke up your ass, and you've been accepting it your whole life,
Uh huh.
and then one day you realize, man, you're just too old for that shit. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, School of Hard Knocks, I guess, right? I've been there,
Yeah.
trust me. So many of us have. Many of us have. So the
Mhm.
fool, the wise man, the beggar or king, whether poor or rich, all's the same in death. So death essentially being the great equalizer. And I dare not try to attempt the ob. I guess ob on ob. So that must mean weather in German. Reich, Greich, in Tod. That I guess that's maybe in death equality. So death is a great equalizer. Yeah, and so you remember the Tim Russert interview where George W. Skull and Bones 43 was pressed on this whole 322 matter and all these. He says, kick, 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 kick. Number 3222, kick, 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 kick. The conspiracy theorists out there are going to go wild. Kick, 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 kick. And then Rusher just he decided, okay, that's enough of that, and he shifted the uh, the focus of the conversation to Kerry, I guess. He's like, oh, and then Bush is like, oh, I'm not going to lose. As you can see, his tone and his tune just immediately change. But he pressed both Bush and Kerry on their membership in this what is by some expert level deep researchers been referred to as a crypto-Masonic fraternity. I mean, and you got to think too, like uh, Yale University. I mean, that's like CIA recruitment ground central, is what it's kind of like the open secret. In fact, I think what was that show? Did you ever watch the show with Matt Damon, The Good Shepherd?
No, I didn't watch that one.
You heard about it though, I guess, right?
No,
You never even
the
heard about it. You never even saw the
well,
previews or nothing.
when I start hearing the word shepherd and everything, I start
Red.
thinking like it's all Christiany and shit.
Oh, oh, you
I don't
have.
I
Well,
don't want to watch that crap.
that's just you maybe take another look and not so superficial with your interpretation, just kind of step back a little bit and take a second look, because
Is it all about Jesus and how he's gonna come back and there's
no,
gonna be
no, I'm not going to say any. I just explained to you. I gave you I kind of laying it out there for you, more than a hint. So we'll leave it to
Matt
you.
Damon? Now Matt Damon, I've watched a lot of his stuff. He's got some good stuff. I might have watched it back when I was smoking pot.
Oh yeah. When did
Yeah,
he would kick the devil's weed,
oh
devil's
heck,
cabbage?
I quit smoking pot before I even quit drinking. That was back in like about 2001.
And drinking?
2000. Well, no, it was before 2001 because I sobered up from alcohol in 2001, I
Yeah.
believe.
It'd be interesting
And
speaking of 2001, how many
2003. I'm sorry, it was 2001 that I quit doing the pot because it was
okay,
about 2 years before that.
how many people to the 9/11 either sobered up or forced them to go, to fall off the wagon. You know what I mean? It's like, what's it gonna be?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I can't handle this shit anymore. It's like the world's just going just
I
completely
get those
crazy.
2 years mixed up all the time because I sobered up from alcohol in 2003 and then 9/11 happened.
Uh-huh.
And like those were the two big points in that period I remembered.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. I guess so. Uh, yeah, yeah. So that was the epic and historic times, no doubt about that. And isn't it amazing just the way time flies in our lives? Two things: the way that our lives just evaporate into nothing. You know, looking back 10, 20, 25, even 30 years. I mean, 30 years ago, I was just graduating from college, university, you know, and it really does just seem like yesterday. And that's because in some ways it was alpha and omega, from the time that we're conceived at our dying breath. It always is, of course, just the eternal now, all part illusory, illu- uh, you know, uh, the great electron, or the great ohm. No, I think the great electron is both Hicks. I think both Hicks and Carlin they use that same way of referencing thing. The big electron ohm. So,
Yeah, I gotta Google the Good Shepherd now so
oh,
that I can be cool like
de-
Jeffy
oh,
Ryder.
give me a break. Yeah, I never. But hold on. Here's the kicker though. I've yet to watch the movie. Are you assuming I did?
Yes, I
Well,
am. I'm
there you go.
sorry.
Well, that's no need to apologize. Just
Oh,
false assumption.
see, I should have known. I should have watched that because Angelique, Jo,
Oh,
Julio, I can be cool like
stand
Jeffy
by. Oh,
Ryder.
give me a break. Stand by. Yeah, I don't know how to. We need a technical producer. So if there's anybody out there that is interested in connecting with us here in that capacity, by all means, reach out and we can manage to the times where Facebook and Telegram uh, are integrated into the show, that we can do that a little more seamlessly, smoothly. So, but yeah. So what do you see there with the Good Shepherd? What are we looking at?
It has uh actually they
Oh,
got actually a few of them.
the
They've
big.
got a
Well,
few.
here's the kicker. But see, I'm
Matt
sorry.
Damon,
Right.
Robert De Niro, Angelina
Oh
Jolie, Alex
no! Oh
Baldwin.
gee! Oh, and guess what? Do you know what there's? Yeah, and here's the thing. I'm not sure about these others, but probably because these Hollywood insiders. And Damon dresses up in a girl in this movie, right?
Uh-uh.
I don't know if they
I,
talk about the ritual master. You can't say these words because YouTube is not an adult even though we don't make our video for kids, YouTube is not. YouTube is made for children,
Mhm.
regardless. Like children that are sometimes 70, 80 years old, they're still treated like little babies. They can't say adult type words. So that's the stage we've gotten to, where it's all these certain words that could be, maybe, to some people at some point, possibly offensive, or you know trigger the algorithm that they're self editing and self censoring. It's just crazy, and that's all, from what I can tell, taken place for the last year or so. It's this Fabian socialist boiling frog agenda that we're seeing within the social media uh, sphere, as one example. Agenda
It's interesting. It's interesting
strangulation.
what it says here. It
Go
says
ahead.
that it was produced and directed by De Niro,
Oh, jeez.
but it's loosely
What a.
it's based on events by James Jesus Angleton, who was an American CIA
Oh,
officer.
he was the worst. Do you know that he was largely responsible for getting Israel, selling out to Israel? That it goes deep, and his role in the Kennedy assassination.
Well, I'm just now found out about this stuff, so
Just
like
now, with me kind of bouncing
but
this off of you.
yeah,
Oh,
I
really?
well with this movie too. Like there's so many people when it comes to all that stuff
Uh
that
huh.
was involved in it. Like James Jesus Angleton is something that I would most likely be interested in checking out because
He was probably a pedo as well, Major. He just
he
has that look and vibe, Major pedo.
he's supposed to be a
Sick.
counterintelligence department
Well,
too
that's right.
agent.
Yeah, he was playing. I don't know if he's playing both sides off the middle or what have you, but he was instrumental. See, they got rid of Kennedy, then Israel got their nukes. That's what nobody's talking about. That's why I'm really disappointed with Oliver Stone. He just and even Jim Mars to some extent, because how often did you even hear them raise this as an issue? Like, they're supposed to be investigators. You have to look at each and every, from scientific method, each and every variable potentiality. You can't just cast aside and rule out certain certain players, or certain variables, certain influences that may have had a role in whatever historical event we're talking about. In this case, the Kennedy assassination, but they got rid of him, and because Kennedy, you may or may not know, was he was completely opposed to Israel, their nuclear ambitions,
Hmm.
and to the point where Ben Gurion was forced to step down. I guess that sort of pressure from somewhere had he that was exerted, and that Ben Gurion, maybe because, who knows, exactly from his own people, or from America directly, I'm not sure, because he had failed, that his supporters were not pleased. He didn't quite have the chutzpah. Jack Ruby did, or Jack Rubenstein, you see, who had been a gun runner to the Middle East since 1955, is how the story goes. Hashtag fact check. But with Oliver Stone and Mars, I mean, I respect Mars's work in particular, because that's what Stone based the movie loosely around, was his Crossfire book. But he never even bothered. I don't know why nobody just said to him, "Hey, have you considered Israel's role in all of this?" Oh, it's the rogue FBI, or CIA. mafia, dissident Cubans, but never this other potentiality, and that's it goes really deep. It goes really deep.
Now, this James Jesus Angleton, he
Yes.
most likely had something to do with Operation Gladio because of whenever
Yeah.
he served over in Europe. They're talking about when I was checking him out, he was he was a liaison with counterpart organizations in allied countries, and that right there is stay behind units
Hmm.
that stayed behind after World War II to prevent communism from spreading into the rest
Uh-huh.
of the. I've just finished doing a thing here recently about Gladio B, which Sibel Edmond and Corbett both was big on, and
James Corbett.
yeah,
Hmm.
and this right here is probably what he was involved in was the original um, Operation Gladio.
They had a Angleton in the CIA headquarters. Where is that? Is it Arlington? Where in
Hmm.
Alexandria? Is it Alexandria or in Virginia? Where do they have their HQ? But anyways, there was a Israeli support desk right next to where Angleton was working out of for quite
Well,
some time.
Dulles is another guy that
Oh,
nobody ever mentions. Like, if you really want to get
mm.
into all this and what's going on, you need to look at Alan Dulles.
Well, a lot of people that do are aware of his role to some extent. Whatever it was, and that goes deep too. They say, the Warren report really. I think it was Jim Mars once argued that it for all intents and purposes, should have been known as the Dulles report. But because
Mhm.
Kennedy, I guess, had fired him, uh, that the optics, I guess, that the optics to had that been the case would not have gone over too well. So they had to keep him a little more in the background. But yeah, so anyways, and Old Man Bush, Skull
Yeah.
and Bones 41 outside the school book depository, and his whole alibi business where it was Tyler, Texas, and he was zipping around the morning of early afternoon of that day, and even the whole thing with George the Morgan Shield angle, finding George Poppy Bush's contact information details in Morgan Shield's uh, address book in his pocket on, I think, on his corpse where he had supposedly shot himself at his house committing suicide, but that's debatable. And then the whole business regarding Zapata. I mean, come on, people, just Zapata. It'll be interesting if Robert Morningstar is able to join us here after the break, and he cares to comment on this. Or, I know mostly he liked to discuss perhaps the protests. If you're once again avid Democrat supporter, or more, I mean, there's looting taking place too, folks. Let's not forget how it's like the genocide in Gaza, right? Like how extreme, how far do they really have to go in killing women and children before it qualifies in someone's mind? It constitutes a bona fide genocide. So similarly with the riots, how far do they have to go? The peaceful, largely peaceful protesters, fires burning in the background and all sorts of fun and games taking place. Thankfully no one killed, uh, to this point, but God only knows what Antifa and its backers, including the all the George Soros money, which I mean, he is, as so many down through history have, the role that they played, Rothschild, Red Shield, bagmen, front men and women. J.P. Morgan, I guess, was another. That's how the story goes. I should be able to name a few more. Oh, the Rockefellers as well. Let's not forget. So they answer to the Roths.
The two most powerful families is the two that never get, well, it's actually one, but it's the Warburgs and Jacob Schiff. Everybody forgets those two.
The Warburgs and the Schiffs. Thank you for reminding us. So that's right. I mean, they were instrumental in helping to launch and finance World War I, the Federal Reserve System, the creature from Jekyll Island, correct?
And they helped collapse the Russian empire.
The Bolshevik Revolution. It was the Rothschilds once again who were responsible for killing the Tsar and his family. That's how the story goes. The Warburgs, because they'd crossed. The Tsar and his family, the Romanovs, I guess, supposedly is how the story goes, had in some way offended the Red Shields. In what manner exactly, I'm not clear. You have to look into that.
It was the pogroms. They had a issue with Russia doing all the pogroms that were taking place.
Pogroms.
Yeah, where they were, what happened was Jacob Schiff supported Japan in the Russo-Japan war. And he sent a whole bunch of money over there. And before that started, the Rothschilds had a lot of engineers and business involved in Japan building its infrastructure. And then what happened was Jacob Schiff financed the Japanese and the Russo-Japan war, which eventually led to the Russian empire falling because they couldn't handle it financially.
Oh yeah, and look at, and then Chairman Mao later on, a lot of support, logistics, money, finance as well came to Mao's, how the story goes, through Stalin. While truth be told, and this once again is always the hidden hand, along with institutions like major institutions such as either the Crown of England or the Vatican or what have you. But Jewish advisors and influencers, Jewish Bolshevik, because I mean this is Marxist, Leninism that they're incorporating, taking on board, right? Which is just a Sino-Chinese, it's a form of Jewish Bolshevism. And those were the Reds, I guess, in the Russian Revolution as compared, the Reds. Red flags, people, red flags. It's not white flags. White flags, I guess, surrender. Who knows? And the history of that as well, too. Does that find its origins, its roots in the Russian Revolution? How far back does that go? But the whites were the monarchists. By the way, welcome to Mark Drigas Productions. We see you're feeling a little under the weather, is what you told us here. But great that you've taken the time, made the effort. How goest thou this week? Are you up to speed and have much insight to offer as far as Skull and Bones? The significance of 322 as well. Let's maybe hear each of your takes on that, along with any other pressing matter of the day, this current weekly news cycle, LA riots, what Canada, how things are, continue to unfold on, north of the border, Ukraine, generally just the war on humanity, Palantir as well, along with anything regarding, pop culture, sports, you name it, just developments, breakthroughs, big stories on any of these fronts or areas. Health, wellness, always good to talk about. Although we are not doctors, we're not here to serve as legal advisors or finance either. Those are three main categories: law, medicine, and finance. Seek out professionals in your own whatever home region you're based out of, or through the interwebs, whatever you're most comfortable with, obviously. And let us also just cap this off before turning over to Mark in adding that the views and opinions expressed on behalf of myself, the show's host, and our guest do not necessarily reflect those of either the wider listening audience nor the show's sponsors. Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, I was about to just do that spill for you so that you didn't have to do it.
Reflective either. Right.
Since I do that so often, and it's required on every one of my shows that we have a disclaimer, even if you own a station, you better have a disclaimer. So,
and then even still, the powers that be, they love to just whack you on the PP. Penalize you
regardless. That's just how it is.
Well, that's what penalize and penitentiary. Look at the shape of a pen. It's not a coincidence, folks. There's a reason for that. So whack you on the PP. But go ahead, continue, please.
I just I figure I'd drop in for a little bit tonight and see how you guys were doing, and I don't have a lot to add other than I've been watching the riots, and I'm like,
protest? Don't you mean protests? You mean protests?
No, they're riots, and it's an insurrection, and it's an invasion, and by rights, I was waiting for Trump yesterday or earlier today when he was on over at the I think it was Fort Bragg, saying, "Okay, you guys, you're all on standby because we're going to invade California, and liberate that state."
How many? So he was at Fort Bragg.
I'm waiting for that.
Was he? He was at Fort Bragg today.
He was at Fort Bragg either yesterday or today, and he was addressing the troops. So I'm like, but he said this is going to stop here and now. So I'm like, well, are you going to cut them orders right now and just send the troops in, because that's really what needs to happen. We do have an insurrection and an invasion, so let's treat it as such. And if any politician gets in the way, then they're subverting and committing treason against the country. Treat them as such. That's how I look at it.
Aiding and abetting the enemy.
Yep, that too.
I was thinking, there are a lot of innocent people, unfortunately, do get swept up.
Well, in any kind of conflict, there are going to be casualties. That's how I look at it. Unfortunately, you cannot avoid casualties if you're in a conflict.
What I'm talking about is, for example, I was just thinking this morning earlier of the famous Cheech Marin satire song "Born in East LA."
Oh,
I'd like to play it now if we could, but we'd get.
Yeah, I am restreaming you on all my platforms as well that I've been streaming today. I got Twitch, Kick. I'm not sure if I don't think I'm on BitChute tonight, but a few others. Beam. So I'm restreaming you there since I was already streaming. I just cut over to this for us. So to help you out.
We got less than 10 minutes here, actually. Time flies when you're having fun with Jaffe and the crew down in Skullport Harbor. So we'll switch over to we're gonna switch over
Live on
to
the scene.
momentarily
Okay.
get yourselves on. No, we're not going to do that, but we're going to put ourselves on camera for a short while. The only reason I've even bothered to come on camera, after spending nearly 10 years behind the scenes. Pardon me?
Likes to look pretty. That's what it is.
You used to look pretty. What happened?
You like to look pretty.
Yeah. Give me a break.
Showing your pretty face.
Oh my God, Roger, just stop with the
the queer
right?
innuendos.
Him and his bromancing. If it wasn't you, it would be like DK or Mark Medworthy, and it's be like, come on, get out of here.
Oh, Mark.
Guys generally don't look pretty, and I'm not here to try to achieve that in any way. But I will tell you, it's not pretty, but it's quite intriguing, very interesting. The wallpaper kind of.
You like that?
I really dig it. The Men in Black, the Squash Snatch, the UFOs, the anonymous character there. So yeah.
I got a few more, if you want, I can send. There's some variations with actually show names and stuff like that on it too.
All right. So, okay. So just a few minutes here before we cut away to break. Have either of you had the chance to check out the talking points that we put together this week with all of just what had come our way as far as what we thought would be noteworthy news items, and not just because they're stories that all of the media is talking about, but in many cases the ones that they're not. So they're the ones that they're either ignoring or downplaying. Let's keep that in mind. So yes, indeed. Oh, just something I've reminded myself, I've got to bring up the chat end of things. We got over 11, 12 people here in the comment section. So Vinny from Brooklyn, he's not in the teams at the moment. Maybe he didn't get the call. I don't know. Churla behind LA riots. What that stands for exactly, I have no idea. Maybe you can look that up, Roger. Churla, CHIRLA. Churla. Well, I think, and the CCP as well, too, let's not forget. The Communist Chinese, they've been trying to destabilize America, the deep state and its globalist adversaries, for God only knows, probably since the inception of America, truth be told. George Washington, stated in a letter, at least one letter to a colleague of his, that he was well aware of, and this is coming from a Freemason too. I'm not sure what degree exactly he held, but that the Weishaupt Illuminati were
George
active.
Washington was a 32nd degree Mason.
I didn't get his 33rd. Well, how about that? So, but
you said CHIRLA what after
LA Churla.
Churla. Okay. So
CHIR. Yeah, I'm not sure if you can see it on the screen here or not, but just scrolling on down, looking at the comments. So order out of chaos, folks. Keep that in mind, okay? Speaking of Freemasonry and the way with their modus operandi here and the Hegelian dialectic, we're all being played. We're always being played. It's the war on humanity. It's full spectrum dominance. Hashtag FSD. War on humanity. Hashtag WOH. We got a great War on Humanity group in place over on minds.com. Mark, Roger, I'm not sure if either of you have seen this yet or not, but it's doing quite well. There's a few groups that were active and over on Minds that are, they've got some pretty amazing numbers, actually. The Joe Rogan group, Science and Technology. What else can we think of? Conspiracy Cafe, and we could provide you with more here, at, at your leisure, of course. But yes, some of the groups there, not just hundreds, but we're talking thousands of people now. Interestingly, uh, so in some of the smaller groups, though, we need people to be more active. There's no doubt about that. Plus, Minds is always looking for more people to help participate and contribute, serve in the role and capacity of moderators. So, anything that either of you like to share or contribute to is before we cut away to
Well,
break and crank up the.
I used to be pretty big with mines, and but mines doesn't really work for me because I'm an advertiser, and I don't, their boosts don't get out. All right, plain and
Uh huh.
simple.
Well, I'll tell you one
And
thing. I'll tell you one thing.
and
Yeah, mine's you shoot us a with any of the groups we're affiliated with a well, we'll help. We can definitely help you with some of the bigger groups. You take a look at it, and it's a PayPal donation basically. Make an offer, and we can help feature or pin what an item that you've put together, and take it from there. See what sort of traction you pick up. So we'll talk later, maybe after the show. I take a look at some of, like I said, the bigger, more active, higher profile groups, and
In your talking
uh
points,
huh.
the thing you mentioned there about the FBI launching an investigation, they've
Operation Varsity
actually
Blues, yes, and beyond. That's just that's a limited
no
hangout.
FBI launches investigation into cover up of COVID. Now they've actually also been doing hearings, just so everybody knows as well.
Thank
I've
you,
been
thank you.
watching them sometimes.
Yeah, good stuff.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
I,
Well, one of Gates coming clean. One of the Gates. This is a story that we shared here. Did you? You might not have seen this, I guess, but we'll we'll just pull this up on the screen share end of things, and actually we can read it out in real life time here. So, I mean, buckle up, folks. If you know of anyone that took the kill shots, it's best. I would advise, as many of these high profile, like Luc Montier, who passed away shortly after, offering his insight into how after 3 shots, you're almost, in his mind, you'd be guaranteed in having VADES, vaccine acquired immunity deficiency syndrome. So, wasn't this hypothesized almost from the start? We tried to warn the world who was actually listening, who supported, who resisted, who actively served as willing accomplices. History will not be kind. Gates Foundation, turbo cancers, heart disease, untimely death, RIP humanity, scamdemic, 5G virus, China virus, World War V, WOH, it's World War on Humanity, AI, robotics, because they've got this. There's a great replacement in that. It's basically they're looking at, they've been working with here for some time. Eugenicists gone wild. Technocracy, Nuremberg 2, yet. So Bill Gates, vaccine scientist, warns COVID vaxxed face spectacular wave of mass death. Uh, is this fake news? Can we say this via YouTube without getting censored, shut down somehow? Whether just, you know, via the algorithm approach, throttling down our reach, as is so often the case, and so many others as well, or completely just taken offline. So, looks like our it looks like our team's talk has wrapped up, the first hour at least. So Here, we'll pull this up on, up on the screen share for people to look at. Make of it what you will, folks, but I do not believe this is so-called fake news. Maybe make this a little more viewer-friendly. Yeah, one of the world's leading vaccinologists is warning the public COVID mRNA kill shots were the trigger for experimental, rushed as well too, folks. Scared, fear porn, hurry, hurry, quickly, quickly. In Korea here, they say body, body. Come on, come on, come on. Gotta do it. Oh my God, oh my God. And you notice there were no laws passed. They were just mandates. And now the powers that be backtracking, saying that we never said any of this. You didn't have to. You had here's a free choice. I mean, sure, you could have starved and lost your house, been forced out into the streets, or worse, but you didn't have to. So, a looming global mass depopulation event. Dr. Gert Vanden Bush, a former Gates Foundation killshot scientist, warns the human race is facing a deadly, spectacular wave of hyperacute systemic disease that will wipe out billions of people who received mRNA injections. Yay! Isn't that just wonderful? So there'll be a lot of happy eugenicists out there. This is interesting too. John Cusack blaming the LA riots on ICE Nazis, doing the bidding of Nazi Trump. Nazis, it's the ICE Nazis that did it all. Nazi Trump. It's like, let the illegals stay. Let the illegals stay. It's okay. Just come on in. Open borders. No problem. Do you know the crap I had to go through here just to stay in the country, including submitting to biometric fingerprint data? Not happy about that, folks. Not happy about that at all. In Canada, you're a criminal, suspected criminal, if you're being fingerprinted. Here, it's just the default position. Once you're, I think it's 18 or 19 years old, they march you off to the closest cop shop and have you submit, or else. So in my case, in the case of all foreigners here now, I guess, and I held off for, I think it was 5 or 6 years, and faced a stiff penalty. I was fined around $800. Parship manwan, what the Koreans would say. That was, I had to face the music, so still working on trying to pick up connect with a human rights lawyer. I had one through, one of my adult students. Her daughter supposedly works as a human rights lawyer, and if you can believe that, and her hot take response to things was, when in Korea, do as the Koreans do. The good German syndrome. So, and I do largely. But I tell you, I was out there first time ever with the whole scamdemic. No, I was driven to the point where I had to actually equip myself with a little voice booster mechanism, not quite walkie-talkie, one-way, sort of just mini amp and headset. Kind of on my way home from work, drawing to listeners' attention the fact that things were not what they appeared, and caveat emptor, folks, caveat emptor. It could be making a very grave, emphasize grave mistake. And that's what this gentleman Bush is saying. Sound the alarm over looming collapse of immunity among those who received the COVID mRNA injections. We're talking VADES once again. A lot of people already have dropped dead, SADS. And of course, as with the LA, uh, well, protests, so they the euphemisms whenever it's to their convenience, right? Just these are not the drones you're looking for. So they're just protests, and yeah, just take these healthy little what we've cooked up for you here. They're really good for you, and you really need to do this. And then after you do, of course, we're going to gaslight you and say that we never said that in the first place. So people can check this link out at their leisure, I suppose, or do a web search for that. In the meantime, we are going to pull up. Well, why not read the comments that we've got here? David Wilkes, DK Spiracy, Zane Ivy, Svetlana. Welcome everybody. Mostly just a gang of regulars. Good to see you. Thanks for taking the time, making the effort, voting with your computer mice, dropping by. Don't run me down unless you're gonna let me on, Jeffy. Have we? I don't think we even mentioned your name until just now. You seem rather sensitive, I think is the term. So I'm not here. Good stuff. I'm not here. Two sides of the coin at war, maybe three, or more. Everybody wants to rule the world. Sonia, hey. She's kind of kicking back at the moment. Having a little fun with her R&R, rest and relaxation. Wow. So speaking of Marines, says Zane Ivy, here in Korea, the U.S. Marines are currently commanded by a female general. Ooh, that's got to be great. Wonderful. With no combat experience or command experience. What? Who put her in place? Was it Biden, Obama? What is Trump? Is he comfortable with having this be the case? Is she most fit? Well, doesn't really sound or competent. No, or qualified. No. See, the thing is, we need women pointing this out, or else it's like, oh, you male chauvinist pig! How dare you? How dare you? So I don't know why we're getting this crazy. Wish there's some other way that we could. Well, I'll tell you what. We're gonna shake. The screen is it's not pleasant to look at, so we'll put the slideshow back on. 322. What does that stand for, folks? Any idea? Not sure what prizes we can award or give away for anyone who's able to answer the question. Maybe Sonia can think of something. So take a little time to reflect on it over the break. But yeah, hey, a lot of great quality comments coming our way, both what we're seeing right now over on Facebook, D Live, first and foremost. Not much in the way of YouTube at the moment for some reason. Oh, we got Christopher. All right, over on YouTube is who we're seeing. Number of lurkers. The numbers are looking really great. Thanks, folks. So if you have any questions, thoughts, comments, that's what we're here for. Fire away. We've got no super chat feature in place either. Why? Because YouTube demonetized us. As soon as we met and reached the 1,000 member level subscribers on YouTube, they shut us down. They disqualified us. So we'll leave that to listeners to decide why that could have been the case. All right. Pretty sad though. The fact, so that's really to drive this home, emphasize why we depend on you, our audience members, to help out, do something, even if it's just sharing the links, leaving comments, subscribing, remembering to hit the notification bell. Tell us if YouTube has unsubscribed you or messed around with the notification end of things. They do this routinely with a lot of people, not just us. That's how they roll, man. It's really quite pathetic, Net neutrality. Yeah, right. Net neutrality. my hairy pirate ass. Herb Anthony must be a friggin' woke general like Millie. Yeah, maybe it is Millie. Maybe it is Millie. Had a little, underwent the knife and redeployed to Korea. So, all right. I'm just going to scroll up one more time because there was, once again, a lot of really great quality comments. See if we can have anything else we can pick out and bounce off of you. DK Conspiracy saying they have a vid from Antifa protests in 2020 where the chick says Soros pays more than Portland unemployment benefit. Yeah, and don't forget, keep in mind, he is a Rothschild front man, a bag man for the Rothschilds. That's how the story goes. And who's behind the Rothschilds? People as Roger pointed out earlier, the Warburgs and Schiffs, all nice, well, not so very nice Jewish folks, it would seem. Uh, so there you go, and the black European nobility, so on and so forth. So just stand by, just wait for us there, please, Roger, and we will connect with you here momentarily. Space Force is what David Wilkes has to say here. All Stone, being Jewish himself, has already gotten a lot of criticism for anti-Semitic comments he's made. Maybe he just wanted to avoid too much further criticism for the tribe. Well, so what is what I say. Not to you, Zane, but to Stone himself. So much for the chutzpah. There's a lot of Jewish folks who are not Zionists. Just because you're Jewish doesn't mean you have to be Zionist, right? They would like it if you were. Most Zionists, who are they? We'll leave that. We'll leave that. I'm not going to fill in the blanks for people, but I will argue that that is indeed the case. That is a fact. The majority of the world's political Zionists are not Jewish. That's just the reality of things. And most Semitics talking anti. This is something we gotta hammer away at, people, here via the Fifth Estate Digital Underground. We gotta pressure, put up. This is where the real revolution occurs. You could say begins, but we've been at this now for what? This is our 10th year. So it's a peaceful revolution, obviously. We're not out throwing Molotov cocktails or setting fire to anything or destroying property or engaging in physical violence. This is simply we're having a conversation. So regarding the whole Semitic business, people have been duped. People have been hoodwinked. And there's so many examples, and the war on terror, the war on drugs, and just it's endless. That the outright deception, frankly. So that's why we need to re-educate ourselves, and that includes calling me out on certain things, and calling Danny out too, telling him, reminding him that we're live streaming and not to upstage the host. Okay, Danny, you gonna be a good boy now. Once we can settle him down. He's our special needs cat, three-legged pirate mascot, of course, real beautiful little guy. He's needy though and demanding, and he lives here with his two other brothers. He's the middle boy. So Hangun is the elder, the Hyungnim, as Zane will know, and little fat mischievous Mandu is the baby brother. So no girls, but yeah, and we do enjoy watching here on the domestic home front when we have the time. Jackson Galaxy's My Cat from Hell. So not that we're an official sponsor of his show. Wouldn't it be something if actually we could work out some sort of you know deal on that front? That'd be kind of cool. I tell you something though that we are pursuing and looking into is LifeWave technology. Look into this yourself, folks. Look into LifeWave technology. Get back to us. Tell us what you think. what you reckon. Basically, what we're seeing right now, what they're telling us about, are patches that you apply uh, to. Now they say that they're non-transdermal. I believe that's how they phrase it. So it does not. They're loaded with crystals. The patches are loaded with crystals. It's all light technology. We ourselves are beings of light, I guess is how the story goes. The sun is light, and the crystals help completely non FDA approved, by the way. It doesn't mean that they don't work or they're not good for you, but life enhancement, life enhancement tools, technologies, uh, equipment. Now, Robert Morningstar, he claims it's a vaccine, but anything that touches your skin, a vaccine. Okay, well, there's non-nano, nothing to do with Wi-Fi. Apparently, no computer chips. Can it be hacked? That's a question that I don't know. You know, is everyone up to speed on what RFK Jr., giving him all the credit where credit is due? Uh, reference this. No, well, look at for crying out loud, Trump's Golden Dome. Long before Trump's Golden Dome, there was what RFK Jr. talked about being this low orbit satellite network right around the globe. And of course, we've all heard of these secret missions that for years been sent out, taking place out in space. The launching these secret mission satellite endeavors, never telling any of us exactly what's going on for whatever reason. So, but that is a concern and a worry as far as the crystals and frequency and vibration, frequency tuning in, and I mean, not all forms of light are the same as well too. It ought to be, it must be said. So that's a fascinating matter in itself. Something that Robert, he might like to talk about when hopefully we bring him on board here in just a few minutes. So, but yeah, this is something that I'm going to uh, essentially, for life and health enhancement, the potentiality, subject myself to, playing the role of I guess, a medical guinea pig, really, and we'll see where it all leads us. Uh, Not too many horror stories to this point, although Robert did mention somebody after incorporating the patch technology loaded entirely with crystals. Once again, my understanding to this point, that suddenly they were struck down with the worst back pain they'd ever experienced in their life. Well, correlation equaling causality or not? We got to be careful with these things. Maybe not. Maybe it's just a coincidence. So, but yeah, so you can look forward to hearing more about that from us. Maybe some of you have already incorporated this into your own daily life practice yourself. I have no idea. Essentially, what I was told is that it's with these patches, 12 hours. You can even have them in your pocket, so they don't even have to come close to your skin. You can, I was told that within 3 inches of your body, whatever part of your body you're willing to subject yourself to, 3 inches. Yeah. So we'll just have to see what works and what doesn't. But it's going to be interesting. Hopefully, I don't think too many people have been killed. In adopting this method, means, approach. I don't know what more to say about it other than life enhancement technology. So, hey, how about those Silk Roads historically? So, pretty big deal. Svetlana, I don't get why they're protesting ICE, barely deporting 200 per month. Trump tards try and excuse the fact they're saying the illegals have been hiding from ICE. They haven't always been since they got here. Well, and it's interesting too, hasn't when ICE is showing up, haven't people in the community rallied around the people, those who are being targeted for deportation? I believe that's been the case, in many instances. There's a shot of Jackson Galaxy right before that, of course. It's the host of My Cat from Hell. Right before that, Cohen supposedly on Hydra. I don't know, it's pronounced Hydra. It's actually the Greek island of Hydra. Back in the day, circa 1960. Brian Mark Rigg, love to have him on board as a guest. He's the brilliant author, in fact, who researched this whole business of how approximately 150,000 Jews served as Nazis during World War II. How many history books even bothered to mention this? 150,000 Jews. I'll say it one more time. Serving as Nazis during World War II. Then comes the Holocaust. Then comes the State of Israel. Coincidence? Keep your eye on the ball, folks. And moreover, where are they now? Most of them dead, probably. But where are their, uh, family members? The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. That's how the expression goes. So, Max Blumenthal. Did anyone catch that interview with Max Blumenthal? He's a frequent guest on the Jimmy Dore show, and he has his own. The name doesn't come to me at the moment, but he has his own uh, journalistic endeavor in place. So, but recently, wow, how few media showed up at this high tech. It was, I guess, the tech lords of death, essentially. Speaking of 322, Skull and Bones and the like, but Palantir, what have you. He pressed this high-profile Israeli insider who just had wrapped up his speech. He approached him and asked him a simple, straightforward question, to which this fellow, they got it all on camera too, just completely ignored what he had to offer and walked away in indignant, "How dare you?" type manner. And then he was accosted by this blonde-haired, blue-eyed, supposedly Jewish lady. I love those; they're my favorites. The blonde-haired, blue-eyed Jews. Speaking of how 150,000 people who self-identify, you know, falling within, you know, that's their identity, I guess. 150,000 during the course of World War II, serving as Nazis, and where their descendants ended up. So, but she accosted him and it's like, "How dare you? How dare the Holocaust?" Of course, appeal to the Holocaust. "How dare you? I'm a Holocaust survivor." So, what are you talking about? There's maybe the descendant of survivors. You know, if you can believe that. I'd like to know more of the particulars, but okay, fine. And it was just really great the way he handled himself, and he didn't get flustered or thrown off in any way. He kept his cool. He's a cool dude, man. So there we go. Great picture of Art Bell. I believe that was Ramona at his side. Another, not sure, this gentleman here. This reminds me of Canadian summer folk music festival circuit. I miss those days dearly, but you know, it was what it was, I suppose. Uh, Thinking of suddenly for some reason, Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven. Thus spake the Raven. What was his little catchphrase? Never no more. Something to that effect. So okay, Bathhouse Barry, Slick Willie ejected millions of these freaks. Da 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 da. Communism never collapsed. It's just a smoke shield and a wealth transfer to Israel so they could infiltrate the West, called the Perestroika deception. Oh, that's interesting. Thanks, Svetlana. Never heard of that. Have to investigate that. The Perestroika deception. Good old Mikhail Gorbachev. I wonder. Yeah, it's interesting as well too how he was kidnapped, temporarily absconded with by the it's like an attempted military coup of Russia, I guess. Yeah, just what did it lasted a few days, I guess, and he was returned to power. It was a pretty it was an interesting time, a chapter in Russian history. The Bolsheviks still run things. Putin is just a Chabad puppet. Klaus called Putin a young global leader, too. That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he is a graduate of Klaus Schwab, a.k.a. Rothschilds. His mother was a Rothschilds. How the story goes, folks. Hey, fact check us. Don't take my word for it. Look into it yourself. And he did grow up in a so yeah, he was a graduate, Putin, of Schwab's, the Schwab family, very powerful indeed. It's also interesting to note who his father was, not just his mother. Charles Lieber as well. Let's not forget about him. His father was. I'm not sure about the mother, but really interesting, colorful Doctor Evil type character. And now, as we were saying earlier, the apple in this context, the kosher apple does not fall too far from the tree. And where is Charles Lieber now? Is he in jail? Wasn't he involved in some huge major espionage type controversy involving the FBI arresting two Chinese, CCP nationals, and Lieber himself, copying to the fact that he had lied to the authorities in answering questions, and the Thousand Talents program. We'll look into that. Mateys, Thousand Talents program. Very really important not to lose sight of. Lieber now is in China. Surprise, surprise. Yeah, they let him go. They let him slip away. Oh, by the way, any bets as to how soon we can expect COVID-20 coming our way? Gain of function COVID-20. What is Lieber up to in China? What do you think? What do you think Lieber's up to exactly? Chinese. He seems to be happy to be working with them, and they're happy to have him. So, uh huh, right. Who's doing anything about it? Who's doing anything about the geoengineering? Well, we're seeing that young lady there with clearly, the chemtrail spraying in the background. So, uh, anyways, scrolling on down here, just to remind people we're listening, actually, draw to your attention, listening to a lot of coast to coast archives we managed to download via torrents. Just free file sharing with friends, nothing more than that. So it's really critical to be able to access that material. Archive.org as well is where we would point to. This is our, if you haven't got enough already, value added content coming your way, things you hadn't been aware of to this point. Maybe you found helpful, stimulating, maybe sometimes irritating. Uh, who knows? Yeah, could be, for some at least, uh, rather intoxicating. I have no idea. you know. But it all is karma, isn't it? The term itself simply meaning action. You know, does include our speech. One would assume. The last time the National Guard was called in was 33 years ago. L.A. riots. Ooh, oh, that's perfect, isn't it? The Masons are gonna love that. It's wonderful. So, yeah, and the whole thing with, I mean, who else was there other than Trump? But do you really think it's a coincidence that he was able to find his way back into power? I mean, who else was there other than, I mean, God forbid, you know, Kamala and Biden, the Democrat, their platform, what they had to offer was just more open borders, insanity in particular. One of the major, problems causing all this current chaos, rigging the elections as well too, was what they've been doing in Canada. How do you think that's one of the reasons Carney found his way? And by the way, they've been doing that for years now, starting with Tony Blair at the Labor Party, I guess, is where things really just the lid was taken right off. Him and the Labor Party winning 2 terms in the UK, and it's just in conjunction with the Kalergi plan, so-called Great Replacement, which nobody is supposed to talk about, of course. Just like with the LA riots that nobody is supposed to refer to as such. It's just unrest or protests. Oh God, George Orwell would just have a field day with this whole business and the COVID kill shots, the 2020 debacle, the way that all played out. It's just endless gaslighting and hoodwinking. I mean, come on, how is it not? So, anyways, but as far as going back to Putin, and let me know too as well if I don't finish or points that I'm sort of laying out here, touching upon. We will be getting back to the group conversation here momentarily. I'm just trying to wrap up. Well, we should maybe end it there and then get back to finishing up with the comments uh, with the back end of things because there are a lot of items coming our way. Welcome, Nate, over on YouTube. Hey, good stuff. Good stuff, Nate. I think he's connected with us here a time or two in the past. The name vaguely does ring a bell. So, but Putin actually worked. He was the house goy. He worked as a child with I don't know if they were Chabad Lubovichers necessarily. The same Chabad Lubovichers, which Leonard Cohen himself, who let's not forget, we recently brought Ann Diamond on board to feature and showcase her MK Ultra and Leonard Cohen, among other things, but that primarily an amazing woman she proved to be. So trying to see if we can set something up with her and Robert Morningstar at the present time. But we're just gonna have to wait and take a look, see how that all comes together. If in fact anything substantive actually occurs, that we can actually have her on, book a show, hosting her via the Morning Star Report, a place where I actually am fortunate enough to be brought in as co-host uh, every Monday night. It's 12 noon here via the Tokyo Seoul time zone, and I think it's 10 o'clock. Truth be told, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. New York, Miami, Toronto, Montreal. Eight, 8, No, let's get this straight. 7 p.m. West Coast of the Americas, Vancouver, Seattle, Baja, Mexico, Zone Libre. Yes. Zapata, La Raza. La Raza. I wonder how many La Raza are involved in current chaos currently unfolding in the streets of Los Angeles, and if we potentially can expect to see, as some would hope was the case, an expansion of the people wanting to protest and push back against the ICE raids. In particular, they think that it's okay to have illegals in your country. 150,000 Koreans via America alone. I'd like to look into Canada's numbers. There's a significant number, and a good portion of whom are involved in the illegal sex trade, skin trade, I guess, is likes of Kaiser Schuff and others would refer to it. So, I personally, I wish ICE the best of luck. I have very little sympathy for these people who enter countries illegally. You're jumping the queue is one thing. All of the other people who had to do it legally and by the book as irritating and oppressive as it may be, once you've got it taken care of, you're in like Flynn. All right? And you don't have to worry anymore. Don't have to be looking over your shoulder 24/7, wondering when the big bad ICE agents are going to be, potentially, I don't know what to do, serve warrants or kicking down your door. So let's cue up the, what we've got here, the promotional blurb in support of Red Dragon Herbs and Teas and the CannaSense Cannabis Collective. With any order of $25 or more, you will immediately receive a 10% discount. All you simply have to do is let Ryan know one of two things, either simply Pirate Radio or Pirate Code. Meanwhile, over on the CannaSense Cannabis Collective front, $58.13, just looking for the number here. $58.13 is our referral link number. It's as simple as that, folks. Not really complicated in any way. So in both instances, do take a look at what each has to offer. A lot of great quality products. That's why we work with them. Everybody essentially supporting each other, everybody winning. So we'll be back in just a few minutes for the final segment of this week's live streaming World Pirate Radio News show, number 322, our Skull and Bones Extravaganza. Don't touch that radio dial or computer mouse.
Medical cannabis is now legal by telemedicine. Get the medicine you need by getting reviewed for a medical cannabis card. Contactless appointments available at CannaSense.com. For as low as $39, you can get reviewed for a medical cannabis card. That's CannaSense.com for a licensed medical cannabis doctor review. CannaSense.com has all the information you need to get connected with a doctor for a $39 medical cannabis appointment. CannaSense.com. CannaSense is common sense.
Catering exclusively to the Des Moines, Iowa area and beyond, Red Dragon Herbs and Teas is a small, family-owned business dedicated to the creation of only the finest quality artisan herbal tea blends. Drawing upon many of the world's most richly established customs and traditions, Red Dragon Herb's mission is about more than just getting their products out to the market. They also strive to help educate their customers on the wider benefits, history, and folklore of all their plants. Of course, any seasoned pirate knows when they're fixin' to tango with the Kraken, you best be powered up with at least one of the finest select quality premium items freely offered via Red Dragon Herbs and Teas wide inventory. Choosing from any of their caffeine-free, headache relief, or rest and relaxation blends, history has proven their products among the best sources of scurvy prevention and vitamin supplementation. Red Dragon Herbs and Teas, bringing you guaranteed homegrown health relief.
Ahoy, Captain Sinclair. I hope your ship is well. That only Jolly Roger has been through hell. Yo ho, on an adventure we go.
We are back with the final segment to this week's live streaming edition of World Pirate Radio News. Show number 322, our Skull and Bones Extravaganza. I myself, of course, I'm your host, as always, the Robin Hood's Chief Communications Officer, Jaffe Ryder. We're going to try to reconnect with the crew here momentarily via Teams, see how this all plays out. Hopefully manages to come together without too much of a hiss, or a hitch. Are we, I'm looking at something here that Vinny from Brooklyn has shared. It's interesting. He might answer the call here this go around. We'll see if he's busy or not. So, shit, this isn't what we want to do. Damn. Now you click on these different, no, to hell with that. Different options here, but crisis actors. I wonder if that's got, or just professional rioters. Come on down. Hey, George Soros. Soros will take care of things. Good, Daddy Soros, who at this stage presumably has, stepped back from things as compared to how more hands-on and directly active he was back in the day. He has a son, if I'm not mistaken, who he seems to have handed his operational infrastructure over to. And let's not forget who this man is, and historically how it was that he and his family managed to make their fortune. It was all done. Speaking of not so very nice Jewish people serving in Nazi ranks, he was very closely affiliated with their killing machine, with the role that he played. I think that, in fact, him and his family, they were tasked to go around and abscond with, do away with, seize essentially the property of any non-Zionist Jews. That's kind of the way it all played out. Jewish folks who wanted to stay in Europe. You know, a lot of people aren't aware of this, but the Yiddish term Ashkenazi, that's a coincidence though too, right? The Ashkenazi, Ashka Jew. You get two completely different answers, two completely different responses. It just depends. Ashkenazi, Ashka Jew. But Ashkenazi, it means German. That's how the story goes. You know, feel free to fact check us on that one too, folks. But anyways, we're working on trying to reconnect here with Teams. This is the first time this has ever happened. Isn't that interesting? It's not allowing us to do so. We're getting essentially cock blocked. That's really unfortunate. So we'll boot this up here one more time and see if, you know, this is bizarre. Yeah, we've never had this be the case at all. It's never been an issue whatsoever. So twice now we've tried to reconnect and all to no avail. So if this continues to be the case, what we'll do is, I suppose, oh, damn, we got to shut a few things down here. This is why we need a second computer. We're trying to get our Linux machine in operation, and you know, we're having some issues. We've come across some stumbling blocks at the moment. So partly because of overloading, you know, we've got the one device we're working off of here. It'd be great to have the Linux machine in place, obviously. So, but stand by, folks, and we'll see. No, that's right. According to Barry Chamish, Ashkenazi means Knights of the Flame. Yeah, how about that, hey? So let's give this one more shot. We're able to connect here. Oh, here we go. This might do it. Fingers crossed. So, yeah, Robert Morningstar active in the chat end of things, as is Mark, courtesy of Drigas Productions. We'll see. Oh yeah, and you're both here with us right now. Is that right, Mark? And hang on a second. Mark and Robert. Yeah, Robert, welcome to the show.
Yeah, there's something wrong. The screen is tiny, and it's not.
Yeah, well, that's on your end. We're okay here. Our monitors, everything's fine.
Okay. Alan Fredrickson is on the phone with me, and he's available if you want to call him in too.
Well, you want me to? Okay, we could try to bring him on board. Is there any reason to do that? I guess we'll do that. Fine. Let's do that.
Somebody called him, and he's.
Oh, okay, but okay. So time is limited here. What exactly would you like? It is 322. Do you know? Here's a good one for you. Our Skull and Bones extra.
Check your chat, Robert. Check your chat. I put in my biology in there.
Okay. What I wanted to talk about is a psyop against President Trump that I see formulating coming from Israel. There are three things that have happened over the last few days and weeks. The breakup with Trump of Elon Musk, and Musk saying that Trump was on the Epstein list. I have known that for years because Trump borrowed Epstein's plane to fly from Florida to New York.
Once.
Yeah. There's no record of him being on Little St. James Island.
Right.
And in 2013, when he was indicted, and Trump saw him with a young woman at Mar-a-Lago, he threw him out and never let him come back.
That's right.
And most recently, there's a rumor that I received through Instagram that Trump converted to Judaism in 2019. And today, of all places, Haaretz, it's a major Israeli newspaper, came out and said that Netanyahu is trying to get Trump to go along for a bombing of Iran. I think these are all smears myself. And the good news is I just got word from a friend in California who's in touch with Musk that it looks like they're going to have a reconciliation.
Probably, you would hope. Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
I think everybody's been.
Well, even Musk's father said, cut it out. That's enough. He said to his son, like, stop it. So, and enough of the ketamine as well too. He needs to go to rehab.
Yeah. Well, ketamine is a medicine, and when used correctly, it has good effect. But it also has deleterious effects if you're using it too much.
Right.
It affects your muscles. It affects your joints, your spine,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, being in euphoria, it is very euphoric. I did it once back in the 1990s, but when you're in euphoria and then you come back to normal, it's kind of like a depression. So I don't recommend it. There was one more thing I was going to say. Ashkenazi means Knights of the Flame.
Yeah.
Barry Shamish.
Barry Shamish, yeah. Can we
Shamish.
Okay. I've also, one interpretation is just Germans. I've heard German, simply that. So, but maybe on a deeper level, as you say. But can we get your head, if you can center yourself a little more? You're kind of in the corner and hiding down.
I can't see myself because the screen.
Oh, there we go. There we go. That's a little better. Okay. That's a little better. There we go.
Yeah. Now you know why I like having a centered image.
Yeah. So
this is a drag. Can't see each other.
I'll come on camera here momentarily. So I know you're the guy who got.
No, I saw you before, but I've got a tiny screen. Usually, it fills up the screen, and I see everybody listed. But this is the problem with Teams.
I've got
okay, so let's go on beyond the technical stuff. I've
got multitasking to do here as well too, but I will be coming on camera. So 322, that's one of the quick questions, little points of trivia I was thinking we could bounce off of you. And what is the significance of 322?
That's the number that's associated with Skull and Bones.
Why?
There are a lot of various interpretations of it, and I don't think I like to go into it. It's just, an arcane number.
It's show 322. This is our Skull and Bones Extravaganza. We are looking at the LA riots, anything to do with Canada, of course, and latest developments on that front, the Ukraine, and just anything. It's wide open pretty much, but those are the main areas of interest currently.
I have a video. There's a really great Substack writer who calls himself the second smartest man on earth. And he's really great. And he put out a Substack article today that has a video of the juxtaposition of the rioters burning police cars, attacking people, and CNN and MSNBC saying, these are just peaceful demonstrators. It's not a crime to fly a flag in the United States. Guys on top of a car that they're trashing, waving the Mexican flag. So the big lie is so evident. Maybe I could put it in the chat, and maybe you could use screen share. I think it's really worth seeing. So let me do that. I'll go to my email and find the second smartest man on Earth.
Sure. Yeah. Well,
you know what else? Remember the bricks, the big pallets of bricks that were being dropped off in the streets during the 2020 riots in New York and all the other cities?
They're back.
Somebody dropped off these masks with plastic visors, like helmets with plastic visors, and just dumped them on the street. And all the rioters went over there and started helping themselves. So now the FBI and Homeland Security is looking for who bought them and who's supplying them. Because This is an invasion. This is the enemy within that Robert Kennedy, he wrote it. Remember I talked to you about the book? That's always at fingertip. It's within my reach all the time. And he was talking about the infiltration of the United States by the enemy within. And that was communists, the mafia, unions that were taken over by the mafia and communists, and subversives of all kinds. So, and then of course I told you about the incredible nightmare that I had in daytime a week ago. Saturday was May 31st in the afternoon, so I call it a daymare. I told you about that I experienced satanic Antifa house invasion, and I fought them and beat them out of my house and drove them out of my building. But when I walked out of my building, I wasn't in New York and I was in California. So I was warning people a week ahead of all these things because that vibe was in the air. And I feel that what I was sensing psychically is that the mindset and the menace and the evil of the organizers is so strong that sensitive people can pick it up, and the collective unconscious communicates with people to warn us. And that's just a faculty that I have. And you're a witness. I told you about it.
A couple of weeks ago, you mentioned it. That's right.
Yes, I did. So I take these things seriously, and we have to be aware that we are surrounded by the enemy. It's China. You know what just came out? Pam Bondi is thinking of throwing out a bunch of Chinese students who formed a communist club at their university.
Good.
And yeah, of course, they should throw them out. And then, of course, they captured that Chinese lady at the Detroit airport smuggling in a bioweapon.
Well, it's
right?
they are doing this incessantly. This is not the first one and only time. It's been going on for quite a while now, and thank God the powers that be are detecting these people who aim to, for the most part, they're detecting them and picking them off at customs, but they're not. But the one fellow who's involved in this joint operation, he had his cohort and co-conspirator was his alleged girlfriend, Chinese girlfriend, working on the inside via the States. They took the materials into their possession with all of the damning details, and it was clear as day what was going on. They allowed him to return back to China.
Well, maybe that was gratitude for having turned her in. You know, they do
cut deals.
Things. Yeah, they do these deals.
Interesting. Well, if I was the media, which we are obviously, but if I was in a better location on the ground and could actually get, I would contact the airport and get through the customs and whoever was involved in this particular making the decision and why it was. Looking for an official statement to why this decision was made to allow him to return to China. Full stop. The public does. We are entitled to know these things, to be clearly informed.
Yeah.
And nobody's reporting on it to this at all. So I'll just put that out there. Maybe there are some people listening who it's more within their means. Maybe you, Robert. I don't know, with your contacts and that you can look into this a little further. So we try to do our best here as it is. And if everyone just pulls their weight, essentially does what is within their means, that, because that's really what it boils down to. And that's why I don't get too caught up or lose too much sleep over all the chaos in the world, because it's that serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Hallelujah. So, but 322, it's apparently, from my understanding, it's the 332nd chapter of the Illuminati. And it is crypto Freemasonry as well, too, how the story goes, the Skull and Bones. And Yale, I'm not sure if you heard the first part of the show, but it's a it's a hotbed for CIA recruitment. It's been that way for years.
Oh yeah, who went there? George H.W. Bush, right?
Yeah, Bush Kerry, 2004. Hey,
All
it
of
was,
Prescott Bush,
yeah,
George H.W. Bush, Baby Bush,
yeah.
Bush Baby.
Let's
All of
let
them.
Sure, let's get to the comments. And then, but before we do, partly the comments, but also bring into the conversation here these other two gentlemen uh, who have been waiting patiently via the sidelines. Oh, we got Alan on board now too. So welcome to
Hello.
Alan Fredrickson out of Fort Collins, Colorado, West Frankfort, Illinois, Roger Hansen, and Mark Drigas Productions, someone who calls, I believe it's Texas, the Lone Star State home. That is correct, as memory serves.
Yep.
Does everybody know each other? I think you've all crossed paths at least a time or two. Everyone knows Mark Drigas Productions? We're trying to work out and help co-produce something as far as you appearing on one of their shows, I guess, Robert. Is that right?
Alan and I do a lot of shows together.
No,
but
no,
listen,
no. Mark Drigas Productions. They're trying to hook you up with
I
one of the
don't think
shows.
we've done anything.
They've
But
got
let
to
me
reach
say,
out to you.
I looked up 322.
Yeah.
And it's the New England Historical Society says the number 322 appears on the society's insignia and is said to refer to 322 BC, when Athens lost the Lamian War and had to dissolve the democracy. A new plutocratic government allowed only wealthy Athenians to remain citizens. So that's incredible.
That's I've heard that before, but that could be a smokescreen. That's a great story, but it could be a smokescreen to what the reality. As another story that I've heard, the reason they've got is, as was stated earlier, it's the 302nd, 22nd chapter of the World Illuminati Lodge that was was established.
The number of the lodge, it could be, but
Yeah.
I have never had access to the Illuminati Bible or whatever.
Yeah. Well,
so
whatever that is. So, and let me just remind, it's interesting. We had a little difficulty here in reconnecting with everybody. Secondly, it's telling us now that this meeting will end in 15 minutes. We've only got 15 minutes that we've
a little shorter than that, I'm afraid.
Well, via this end, we have 15 minutes on the clock, but it's saying it's going to end in 15 minutes. So that's
it's on the clock. It's going to end in 15 minutes. But what you can do is immediately thereafter initiate another call.
This is bizarre. I don't see why we don't have 45 minutes. And one more reason to go Jitsi.
I'll tell you why. Because you started a call and then you interrupted it. And when you come back, they only give you the difference from 60 minutes. That happened to me and Alan.
Yeah, whatever's remaining in the first call they'll give you. It's really odd.
Yeah.
It won't reset.
So Alan and I have to start the shows that we're doing together on Revolution Radio exactly 2 minutes to the hour, no matter what. And at 2 minutes to the hour, that's when the break comes.
I understand.
Okay.
But what happened here via our end was the call had actually ended. It expired. They shut it down after an hour, and then I worked on launching a new call, and now they're telling us that, oh, sorry, you've only got 50 minutes. So it's another we're getting that feedback echo loop again for some reason. Okay, let's see if that'll die down. But it's a team snafu, basically, that they had a kink they've yet to work out, is what I would argue. But anyways, carrying along, enough of the technical, no need to to preoccupy or get too overwhelmed with that. What else do we see then? Mark, let's hear from you, Roger, and then maybe back to Alan. We haven't heard anything. Introduce yourselves, gentlemen, just for the newbies out there. We've had good numbers this go round too, up to as many as 25 people altogether. A lot of lurkers, unfortunately, still, but the numbers we're seeing here are pretty decent as far as the live end of things is concerned. So that's thanks for voting with your computer mice, folks, and connecting with us here. And if you dig what we produce and share with the world, what we present, essentially unpack and unfold, password along to your friends, family, and coworkers, and look forward to seeing you again. So, and I'm not sure if we've got anything taking place on D Live as far as the digital love is concerned. Maybe Roger or anyone else that's active over there can let us know. But in the meantime, why don't each of you introduce yourselves, starting with anyone who'd like to take a stab at it.
Roger Hansen, and currently, right now, I'm over on D-Live storing shit, so.
It's finally
got
working
'em
out
on.
for you, is it? You're helping to simulcast, as is Home Network TV, thanks. Andrigas, you're all simulcasting. Brilliant, guys. Way to go.
Oh yeah, I'm on YouTube right now as well, so got a few visitors, but not many in YouTube.
Multi-pronged attack. Here come the freedom-fueled truth bombs, folks. Step aside, look out. They're coming your way here, yeah, in earnest. So, yeah, the revolution will not be televised. It may be live streamed, however. So, and as we mentioned earlier, it's a peaceful revolution. The term itself just simply mean the turning of the wheel. The people of the streets of LA, they've got their own way of dealing with things. I guess their own way of conceiving of engaging in revolution, but that's never, history has shown that's never been productive at all. You can't go about doing things that way. You'll be crushed. So Fort Collins, Colorado, with Putty Tat there on your lap. What's his name?
This is Alan. How you doing? I broadcast for HomeNetwork.tv, FreedomNation.tv, as well as StreamLife.tube.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Technical advisor, a couple other things.
And you work in conjunction throughout the course of each and every week. Robert, the Morning Star Report, of course, who they stream out over RBN Network, Revolution Radio, in conjunction with what you have in place there, HomeNetwork.tv. And
by the way, I would like to plug two important articles that I've published in the last 2 days on robertmorningstar.substack.com. That's the Morningstar Report.
Mm-hmm.
June 8th is the anniversary of the dastardly attack of the Israelis on the USS Liberty.
That's right.
They intentionally killed 34 American sailors, 25 intelligence officers, wounded two-thirds of the crew. 194 out of 298 crewmen were injured. And today I published something incredible from Haaretz. This is an Israeli newspaper that tells the truth. And they have exposed a sadistic ritual pedophilia network that has been operating, and women testified before the Israeli Knesset as to having suffered ritual sexual abuse from one of the radical Jewish fundamentalists, the Haredi sect. And I posed the question, was Jeffrey Epstein part of this Israeli network? So
obviously.
Those articles are on the Morningstar Report, robert.morningstar@substack.com.
Yeah, good stuff,
Okay,
Robert.
back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. We do, of course, as always, anyone who participates in the weekly World Pirate Radio News segments, you add your main URL links that you share with us. It's the least that we could do. So good stuff. It's just wow. I mean, yeah, they better see. That's the whole thing. My theory is that's one of the reasons the whole Ukraine, the insanity, the bloodshed kicked off in that region of the world, is because there was no way in hell that the powers that be were wanting to be held accountable, face the music, for what they had committed throughout the past several years. This scamdemic that the Club of Rome and the Rockefellers unleashed in conjunction with their lockstep agenda. So they needed another major geopolitical distraction. There are no there are no accidents in politics, is what FDR told us. If it happens that way, it was meant to. And I think he was probably somebody who knew what he was talking about, given his experience, having seen things from the inside and behind the scenes to some extent as well too. What wasn't he himself a 32nd degree Freemason? I believe so. Truman, FDR, most of these characters. Trump not, although who knows does it really matter? I mean, there's also what's known as honorary. I think it's honorary Freemasons, or Freemasons, Masons without an apron.
I'll tell you something about FDR.
Well, there we go. They're monkeying around with us again, unfortunately. That's the way it goes sometimes. So now we'll be back. The show is not wrapped up here, and he's going to tell us something about FDR, hopefully. George Orwell would think that, I guess, Jaffe was a moron, says Nate. Okay, not sure why that is exactly. Perhaps you could fill in the blanks. This is over on YouTube as well, too, if anybody would like to drop by there and maybe, either support what Nate is saying or counter, or just keep an eye on things. Maybe someone has a rebuttal they'd like to offer via YouTube. Of course, hey, the thing is, feel free to criticize. Absolutely, and lash out. Constructive criticism is always the best, of course, but people have got to watch themselves in crossing the line. We are pretty free speech when it comes right down to it. And, we like to walk our talk, as it were, but there does come a point in time, like, for example, this whole communism business. I, for years as a young person, reflected upon, wondered, asked myself, like, why is communism illegal in America? Not Canada, it seems, unfortunately. But why is this, and there's, I believe it was illegal for many years, and there's could be good reason. When it, pull back the curtain and it's shown to be, it's Jewish Bolshevism. Like, what's going on here exactly? What are these people trying to achieve? So let me just, the comments once again, and a few more of these, and then we'll get back to the, relaunching the teams chat. Bit of a pain as it is, but hey, you roll with the punches. Retired Colonel Douglas McGregor. By the way, that's a great shot of Pirate Larry and his compadres down in Baja, Mexico, Zone Libre, Mexico. Interesting as well, too, how, down in that region, they're working now. They've had enough of American travelers and tourists and whatnot, or people that want especially to maybe settle down in Mexico. So that's a story worth looking into. It's ironic, though. You can flood the your people north of the border, as much as you like, but when it comes to anything, traffic flowing south, suddenly it becomes an issue. That's a bit of a head scratcher. So, Colonel Douglas McGregor, great guy. Yeah, he's pretty high profile and active on YouTube. What a guest he would make, eh? Definitely top shelf material. But anyways, Scott Ritter as well too. So has already stated he thinks rioters throwing bricks should be shot. Ooh, geez. At the same time, we have Marine officers openly criticizing Trump for sending the Marines in. Interesting. Yeah, so clearly, he better watch his step. He better be careful and watch his step, pushing things too far as a response. So let's see. It's much more interesting when we can see your faces, says Svetlana. Okay. We'll try to do that when we return to teams here momentarily. I think we covered all those. Okay, that was one comment we missed. This was no leak. There was no virus. Biggest psyop since Spanish flu, says I'm not here. Good stuff. By the way, none of these are super chats. We're reading them freely, folks, and just would encourage you to, if it's within your means, consider, look at, and engage us via PayPal, the merchandise, anything with the t-shirts, coffee mugs. We've got the Patreon end of things, or anything where you're able to think outside the box. Maybe, crypto is always cool, or just digital support on Odyssey. Places like we can now receive tips via BitChute and these other platforms too. So if that's something that you're comfortable and competent with, then by all means. But other than that, and Pirate One Radio at protonmail.com is the email address to keep in mind if you do have those PayPal donations or any show suggestions or guest ideas. And commenting, liking, sharing, remembering to hit subscription notification buttons, passing word on to friends, family, and co-workers. Really critical stuff. But yeah, we have no super chat. YouTube shut us down as soon as we hit that 1,000 member subscriber support threshold. Surprise, surprise. They told us we were disqualified. We never reached out to them. They contacted us. It's the first and only time they've contacted us directly. Assholes. Speaking of red shields, there's you think it's just a coincidence YouTube is they sport with their colors? So, higher taxes, here's your prize. This is Carmageddon, says DK Spearsy. Well, and why do we pay higher taxes? Any guesses? It's not that complicated, really, and it's just weaponization of currency, but in particular tied into the private banking cartel, the funny money, scam that they've been running, that they have in place, this fiat currency, which, as Ron Paul talked about in the day, it's 100 years is the longest any funny money fiat government issued fiat currency has lasted, and it's been over. We've surpassed that threshold now at this point in time, this stage of the game. So, but yeah, it's all going to pay off. Supposedly, is how they like to do it. Have us service the private, the bankers, the interest on the debt. Yeah, the private. It's like why are governments themselves or Congress not able to issue its own currency, as was the case, with Lincoln and Kennedy as two examples working to do exactly that. Debt-free, zero interest currency. Wow, what a concept, huh? So we'll see how this whole digital currency nonsense plays out. I'm not overly sold on the whole business, although I will say one thing: don't put all your eggs in one basket, folks. Darwin's is really bottom line. The origin of species. Secret to survival was doing exactly that, not putting all your eggs in one basket, or depending on one feature or function or characteristic alone, that you had to be malleable, able to adapt. Speaking of which, look at how flexible the Jewish folks have proven themselves, very chameleon-like over the years. Interesting. And, to take note of, it's like, are you white or not? Am I white or not? It's like, play that whole game. Sort of, sometimes you are, sometimes you are not. They argue amongst themselves as well. So it's not just the Goy Gentile, the outsiders, kind of spectators, asking themselves, reflecting upon this question. But it pays to be, if you have the ability to camouflage yourself, well, That's pretty powerful stuff, obviously, as far as what helps to serve your and strengthen your ability to survive and perpetuate your people, your tribe, your race, or whatever it happens to be. I don't believe in viruses, but they do make bioweapons, is what DK Spiracy says. I'm not here. Agree, but even synthetic RNA cannot be pandemic. Christopher, once again, sitting down. Okay, Christopher, good to have you on board. Triple DNA, trioxy. Let's see what else we got going here. Make sure we're on the page here with the comments. Maybe we should reconnect with the group. I think they've been waiting, by patiently enough. So let's do that, and if we can, and see if we can maybe archive one final 1 hour potentially segment to our Skull and Bones Extravaganza show segment number 322 of World Pirate Radio News. How are things going in your part of the world, people? What do you see via the ground level? Boots on the ground, the bird's eye view. So that's the big question here that we have. We'd like to know, among other things. So thoughts, comments, questions yourselves. Any major news items we're missing out on? Maybe we haven't gone deep enough into, only touching the surface. So we don't, make sure that we're clear, of course, in the way we're able to flesh things out. And we're looking at flowers from a galloping horse. All right. Speaking of seeing this ancient map of the Silk Roads as they existed, took shape back in the day, and working to get teams back online seems to be, well, a little bit of cock blocking at the moment. So who knows? That could be the show. I really, it's hard to say at this particular moment. Just give it a few more minutes here. Peace sign is upside down, broken cross. The more you know. That's right. I'm not here. You need to have that peace sign. It's like they have here in Korea and elsewhere, or you have when you walk into somebody's house. Is the horseshoe upside down, or not? No, it's not. So are they blocking us now, these idiots? Are you serious? Fuck. There's my one F-bomb of the day. So they're not, now that we got it open, but they're not allowing us to launch another video call. See, that's the way it goes. And then ultimately they'll want you to pay, of course, and the whole thing. So you can be damn sure which case we'll be going,
guidelines for there other than, hey,
full-blown total outright jitsi. Well, yeah, so what's going on? So you guys, see, the problem is, well, I don't know. See, the thing is, the group remained open. That's why. Oh, Christ. And
Jeffy, Alan and I just got chopped off, and then
here we go.
We all got cut off, and then I waited a couple minutes for you to take and come in. Jaffe.
We got cut off too. That's why I was gone. They cut me off here via South Korea. So this is whatever. Had good fun and games with teams.
Is I got your stream on mine. So
okay, well now that is interesting because you guys via our end, there would have been nothing but me, and going up, endlessly going on address. What's that?
Going on and on.
Trying, stream of consciousness and trying to maintain a flow of conversation and keep the
Did
show
good.
on the road. So, but on your end, you would have been heard with what you were putting out over there, but we got totally cut off here. But folks listening on our end through our social media I almost guarantee you we're hearing me, unfortunately, and just me alone. So, but we're back, and here we go. Who knows what they're going to do next? So, anyways, let's get the show on the road. This will be the last effort on our part. Is there anything that we're missing out on here? I'm going to bring up and do take a look, Roger, if you would, at the oh, bloody hell, here we go. And I can do it's that is meet yourself out, please, Robert Morningstar, if you would. And because we are echoing through, as we all too often do with you when you are. See, I'll have to do it myself, and then people should notice. There we go. It's there's not a problem. So, but look, D Live. If just keep an eye out, if you would, please, Roger, for anyone dropping us a little digital love over as they do sometimes. And I'm Robert. You've unmuted yourself, and now see you. Can anyone else hear that? Roger, can you hear that? Yeah, you can hear it. You can hear it, and I'm guessing everyone else here can hear it. There we go. Thank you, Robert. So this is the issue that we've got to. All it is really is just turning down. He's got to turn his speakers down, and that's it. I don't think he can point them away from each other. Just turn down the volume on his monitors, and that will definitely help a great deal. But I'm going to bring up the talking points here. We got the comments to get to as well. But gentlemen, let's allow you the opportunity to have at it. You have made the effort here and taken the time. I'll tell you what, we got to put on the screen share, and I'll scroll down the talking points that we did manage to. What is the word? Collate? But in just okay, yeah. So thought I might have closed down Teams by accident. What is this compact view nonsense? Geez, we don't want that. Shut that down. No, it's not going to. Yay, Teams. But did you pick up the screen share, folks? Roger, do you have it now via your end?
Right now, I'm not able to see it.
Oh, can anyone see?
I see it. It's good.
Yeah.
I see the screen share.
We got the talking points.
There you go. I got the talking points right now.
So let's take a look. Oh, look at this. Robert might be interested in addressing this. I thought it was really quite telling. The long-range restrictions removed. Germany, France, UK, and USA. I think I've got those countries straight. That was on May 26th, and then the drone surprise is June 1st. But did anyone pick up on that? These long-range, the use of foreign-issued weapons and their long-range restriction?
Yes.
Well,
Germany
lifted
the restrictions.
And in politics, as was mentioned earlier, if you heard it, that according to, and you were going to say something about FTR too, but that there are no accidents, there are no coincidences.
FDR's background.
Yeah.
FDR was a scoundrel.
Sephardic Jew.
And, that doesn't matter.
Well, whatever.
What he did, what he did in 1916, there was a rebellion in Haiti, and he was a Navy man, so they put him in command of putting down this insurrection or rebellion in Haiti, and he wound up killing 60,000 Haitians, and nobody tells that story about FDR.
Was he still walking at the time?
No, yeah, he was still walking. So I look at that thing that happened to him, the polio, as to use that charming term from India, karma. You know?
What do you think? Could you please turn your volume down, Robert?
I turned my volume all the way down, man. You know?
Well, you've got something going on there where have you got your YouTube open or other channels, maybe Rumble's open? We got something. Check. We got something bleeding. Check 1, 1, 2. Okay. Joe Kennedy's relationship to FDR. What would you say?
That's a very interesting story.
Yeah.
Yes. Joe Kennedy became extremely influential and became ambassador to England because it was Joseph Kennedy who got the idea that FDR should run for president. And FDR turned to him and he said, well, if you will set up the steering committee for the primaries, if you set up the steering committees and run the primaries I'll run. So Joe Kennedy got together with another Irishman named James Farley and another Irishman who was a big publisher. I've forgotten the third man's name. But the three of them were able to get FDR the nomination, and then they kept FDR in power for 4 terms. He almost served 16 years.
Uh-huh.
So that's why we had to pass that 2-term limit on presidents. Right. Everybody wanted to see that happen again. So that was how Joe Kennedy became the second most powerful man in the United States until they had the falling out over going to war, into World War II. Joe Kennedy was saying, stay out of the war. It's not our war. Let the English deal with the Germans. Don't get involved. And so that's when,
it wasn't even England's war, apparently. You listen to the likes of, oh, bloody hell. Who's that historian? David Irving. I love that guy. He's controversial, and I think he's great. But he's like, this was not England's war. It was not, so, yeah. But
well, you see, here's the point. George Washington warned us, and I just recited his warning a couple of days ago on my show. He warned us not to get involved in foreign alliances,
entanglements,
entanglements. And because of there was a treaty between Britain, France, and Poland, self-defense treaty. So when Hitler invaded Poland, the treaty forced England and France to jump into the fray. But we didn't have that. We didn't have that agreement with the British. And as a matter of fact, between the end of World War I and the beginning of World War II, all the war plans that the United States military was working on was an Atlantic war against England. They were the prospective enemy. And then FDR engineered the attack on Pearl Harbor so that that would give us an excuse to declare war on Japan, but the big mistake that Hitler made. And this again goes down to this mutual defense pacts. Hitler had signed a mutual defense pact with the Japanese. So when FDR declared war on the Japanese, Hitler, being true to his treaty with the Japanese, said, okay, we're going to declare war on the United States. But he had a grudge already because the United States had been giving England old destroyers from World War I and armaments and coal and food to keep them afloat. So that's how all of these interlocking mutual defense treaties, got everybody into the war. And that's why I think that President Trump rightfully wants to and should withdraw from NATO. That's my feeling. So back to you.
Yeah, so that was the tripartite. God damn that volume, Robert. We've got to do something about that. Either mute yourself.
I'm sorry, Ed.
I'm
sorry. You're the only person that has a problem with this.
Roger.
Do the other guys hear any echo?
Yes, they can. Yes, okay. And it comes out. It comes out. Everyone listening can hear it too. So it's just something that I'm sure we could get a handle on here without too much difficulty. In fact, when you're not talking, just mute yourself out, and that'll be one definite way of doing it. Piece of cake. So tripartite pact, I believe, is and then the lend-lease agreement as context. I believe what Robert was going on about there, essentially. So yeah, foreign entanglements, and that's potentially. I had a dream about this, and I didn't really want to talk about it, but the sort of thing that could potentially be unleashed, and we could see the world, falling. Would you say into the grips of, or just basically, all sorts of hell breaking loose because of these foreign entanglements and alliances, multinational entanglements and alliances. Alrighty then. Well, we got a whole host. I'm not sure if anyone else has anything more to offer. We're trying to get a handle on the comments that are flooding the peanut gallery end of things. We were up to as many as, once again, 25 people via the live streaming numbers we were seeing coming our way, which is really great. And thank you once again to Roger, to Home Network TV, Mark, Rodriguez Productions, and Robert, of course, too. Everyone for showing up, helping out, lending support, and basically contributing in an affiliate type capacity as we simulcast across multiple networks. Here, show segment number 322, our Skull and Bones Extravaganza World Pirate Radio News. Not sure what we got coming up as far as feature shows this Friday night, if in fact anything. Sonia's sort of working on bringing something our way here, potentially. Of course, last week, once again, we had Anne Diamond, Canadian author, poet, and major, literary figure via Canada, speaking on MK Ultra and Leonard Cohen, among other things. Go ahead, Roger Hansen, West Frankfort, Illinois. I thought.
I was also going to mention too that not only is it going on to Rumble, but I'm doing it exclusively on Rumble Premium as well. So not only is it on the regular Rumble, which is what Mark's doing, but it's also going on Premium as well. So.
No, I'm not streaming out to Rumble tonight. I am streaming to Beam, my platform over at Dragus Productions at Wix, as well as Twitch, Kick, and D Live. That's where we go out with me right now.
So you're basically on the uppity ups.
Yeah, and you can add another 18 folks to your count. That's what I have over for me that are tuned in.
Good stuff. So we'll try to engage them a little further and encourage people to, once again, thoughts, comments, questions, criticisms, anything they'd like to, send our way, bounce off of us. We're more than happy to address. Where do we stand here? Oh, geez, Pulse, 5G, and you will have the next virus. Well, you're onto something there. I'm not there, and that's exactly what Charles Lieber, speaking of gain of function, weaponizing, bringing together. I guess not sure how you. What is the term now? It's like, oh God, it's like with the weather, weaponizing the weather as not an exponential force. Can anyone help me here? Robert might know the term, the military term, when you multiply as a force multiplier. That's how you say it. That's so basically with the kill shots, and now people, because of frequency and what they have on board, what they've injected, the graphene oxide and other toxic ingredients, that it's horrific what we're going to potentially see here. And this is all, people have been trying to sound the alarm for quite some time, and the powers that be simply do not want them to be heard. And that in itself is criminal. Well, it's unethical. It may not be criminal. It should be. It's moral and unethical. Though that's just like, try arguing that against that. Come on. It's unacceptable. There's just no excuse whatsoever. So, but that's the thing. Any dictator, see, the thing is, Hitler or whatever dictator you choose to look at down through history, everything they've done has been legal. So why is that? It's because they're the ones writing the laws. It doesn't mean it's right. It doesn't mean it's ethical, humane, compassionate, or respectful of individual human rights. Rarely is that ever the case, but it's legal. It doesn't mean it's lawful either. There's a big distinction to be made there, I guess. So, and I'm not the expert in this area, but I will stand by my words until someone forces me to eat them, I suppose, you know. But that's where we stand. That's the story, and I'm sticking to it. So, vote harder. That'll fix politics, says DK Conspiracy. The peace sign as we addressed already. Yeah, you're supposed to have an upward, like a basket, like the horseshoe. You're catching the good luck. You don't want it, turned down. That way, all your luck is being drained. So it's time to not only reclaim the swastika, I would argue, the ancient Aryan sun symbol, good luck, Svavistika, meaning he as well.
Well, I agree with you with recovering the swastika. The swastika was never
peace sign
a
too.
bad eminent. It was a good thing. It was a sign of help. It was a sign of direction. It was a sign of learning. And the Germans hijacked it in order to pervert it.
Well, and it was they totally played into the enemy's hands in doing that as well too. Look how it's played out. You know how they've handled it since then, and demonizing. It's like, how dare you? You know,
the swastika. The way that Hitler perverted the swastika was to reverse the direction of the arms. And it was explained to me by my Hindu dancing teacher that the original swastika of the Hindus has the arms pointing to the right, and that Hitler, and it means, the meaning of the swastika was, may everything that I touch be blessed and procreate.
Skywalker.
And when he reversed it, it meant, may anything that I touch be cursed and destroyed.
Oh, that's your Hindu guru teacher. That's how he broke it down, explained it to you.
Exactly.
Now, and
well, we'll tell you if a symbol is inverted. Example, the
black
Mayans
magic.
have the symbol of unity,
black magic.
And if you invert it, it means disharmony.
Sure.
So
of course.
This is a standard way.
Look at ISIS.
That they used in order to write these things down.
Look at what they did with ISIS. Wasn't ISIS was ISIS a bad historical, like mythological goddess and figure?
No,
really?
She's the savior of the world. She's the prototype of the Blessed Virgin Mary. She's the one who saved the world basically by giving birth to Horus, who is the Egyptian Christ. She saved the world from Seth and Typhon. Seth and Typhon were the murderers of Osiris. They dismembered him. She recovered his member and squeezed out.
She's one that had to teach man how to make love as well.
And also not to eat the dead.
Well, if you get into that, then you go back to the real name for her, which was Lilith, before she became Isis and Inanna.
No, I don't buy that at all. No.
Lilith was the wife of Samael. She was the first wife of Adam, and she refused to submit to Adam. So he threw her out, and she went to the Red Sea, and in a cave, she conjoined with Samael and started to produce demons and gave birth to 100 demons a day. And her legend says that she hates human children. So the Lamia, which are demons that are associated with her, would go out and kill newborn babies. So Jews, even to this day, they put a charm on a newborn baby to keep the demons of Lilith away from the child during its more.
Do you know what that term sounds like? In many Lamala sounds all like Amalek. It's too close to ignore. Amalek. It makes sense, and the way that Netanyahu himself, let's not forget that he referenced the Dead Sea Scrolls, the War Scroll, I believe, in particular, with the Sons of Light and Darkness, and the Amalek, and they're the ones that they had to go. That he was Amalekite. Okay, that he was calling all good Jews to go out and decimate, essentially, and that's what's led now to this genocide in Gaza. which who knows what euphemism they use to
Well,
kind of
God, you know what the evil God says to them? He says to them, go out and destroy the Amalekites, destroy every one of their towns or cities, kill everything in the town, man, woman, children, animals, kill anything that breathes.
Are you talking Yahweh? Who exactly?
Yahweh is telling that, Yahweh giving that order.
Yeah,
it's a very interesting story because the Amalekites were the grandchildren of Esau. And
that's the Rothschilds,
Esau,
isn't it?
This is yeah, exactly. I told you, I discovered this because I saw an interview with Rothschild and they asked him if he was a Jew. And he said, I am an Esauan Jew, and I'd never heard the term before. So I began to study the history, and the history is that Esau stole, Jacob stole the birthright of Esau. Esau was the older brother who should have received the birthright. And Jacob, colluding with his mother who favored him, tricked their blind father into giving the blessing and the inheritance to Jacob. And it was Jacob whose name was changed to Israel. So the grudge is that Esau's grandchildren, the Amalekites, have always had this hostility because they feel that they were cheated by Jacob, aka Israel. So when Moses left Egypt, heading for the promised land, they were ransacking every Egyptian city and town that they went through. They stole all the food, they stole all the gold. They just went on a rampage. And when they got to the land of the Amalekites, they wanted to cross the shortcut to the promised land. And the Amalekites said, no, you got to go the other way because we know what you've been doing on your way out of Egypt and you're not going to do it here. So they had to take an arduous path to get to the promised land. And that's why Yahweh ordered them to kill them all. But they were not really civilized people. They were blood drinkers. They would kill people and drink their blood. So they're very vampiric and nasty, I think, hardly human. We're talking about really primitive people here, and we shouldn't project our own modern sense of ethics or morals onto these really primitives, I think they were just one step up from monkey men myself. So that's the story of the Amalekites. So Netanyahu has invoked that image, but listen to this. They include among the Amalekites the Germans, Americans of German descent, and basically anybody who is not, in our terms, an Ashkenazi Jew. So there you have it, folks. That's the real deal. Go to the Bible, look up the story of Jacob and Esau, look up the story of how they tricked Jacob and his mother, tricked the father, the blind father, to give the blessing and the inheritance to the wrong guy. It's a really terrible. And you know what? It all has to do with a bowl of lentils. The whole thing has to do with a bowl of lentils. Esau was a hunter and Jacob was a gatherer. So Jacob went out and gathered beans and fruit, and he collected a whole bunch of lentils. And he was cooking a pot of lentils, and Esau showed up, and he was ravenously hungry. And he said, brother, help me, give me some food. And he said, yeah, I'll give you a bowl of lentils if you give me your inheritance. And he was so hungry, he said, oh, and he thought he was not serious. He said, no, okay, I'll give you the inheritance for a bowl of lentils. So he gave it to him. And then he went back and told his mother, I made a deal with Esau, and he traded the inheritance to me for a bowl of lentils. And she said, but your father is never going to go for that. So we have to trick your father. And there's a passage in the Bible that Esau was a hairy man, but Jacob was a smooth man. And this has to do with the coarseness of the hair on their arms. So the mother tells Jacob, go out and kill a goat and skin it and bring the goat skin to me. And she said, go in and pretend that you are Esau, imitate his voice, and wrap this goat skin around your forearm, because the father used to tell which one was which by feeling the forearm. Esau was a hairy man, and Jacob was a smooth man. So he wraps the goat skin around his arm, pretends to be Esau, and says, "Father, I want the blessing." And the father says, "You know, you kind of sound like Esau. Come on over here. Let me feel your arm." So he puts out the arm with the goat skin on it, and the father feels it. He says, "Oh yeah, this is Esau," and he gave him the blessing. And that's how this whole thing started. And it's been going on.
Sounds like an
Robert,
Asian.
wasn't that
An
in the
Asian,
book of
no hair.
Jasher?
Asian.
Was that in the book of Jasher, Robert?
It may be in there too, but it is in the Old Testament.
I
Jasher
heard
is
that
not
in the book of Jasher.
Yeah,
that
the
same
book of
story.
Jasher tells a lot of truth that it was excised from the old Torah. So back to you guys. I think I've done enough.
We've got over 100 tweets. Thank you, Robert. We've got over 100 chats actually here in the via the peanut gallery. So we really blasted on through this week with amping up the vibe, as it were, pumping up the volume, rocking this boat, the Robin Hood, as we sail out here upon these vast, often all too intrepid digital waters. Lots of talking points left to get to here. We're going to try to send this tweet out, sort of giving ourselves a little pat on the back, having reached the 100, the messages that and comments and the like that have been coming our way through the peanut gallery. But in the meantime, sure, why don't you guys go at it, and I will bow out for the next few minutes. Has everyone had a chance to look at the talking points that we put together? Not that they're the end all and be all. It's kind of an open conversation, obviously, but have we touched on all the main points? How about this Palantir business and the what is Skynet as compared to Darknet? And what is the Black Mirror exactly? And we've touched on, at least, business of full spectrum dominance, weaponization of water, food, education, the media, big pharma. I mean, it's just the legal system with lawfare, right down to every last little nanoparticulate. These bastards are relentless. They really are. So this is World War V, as far as I'm circumcised. Sorry, Robert, if that rubs you the wrong way, but it's like, that's how we roll here. As far as I'm concerned, I misspoke, I guess, but yeah, World War V, the war on humanity, and it's total full spectrum dominance. Is there anything that isn't weaponized? Even look at the music and entertainment industry, for crying out loud. People have got to be on guard and aware, and there's to rise up and push back, but it's got to be done in a peaceful way, in a civil manner. And people have to watch out for agents provocateurs, and because there's plenty of them out there, clearly. All too many games afoot. So, I mean, what more can one really say? I just hope that everyone's doing well, throughout the course of things. It's, nobody said that life was going to be an easy ride, or a walk in the park, did they? So in some ways, on a spiritual level, Ephesians, for all you Christian folks, I'm not there, and others, or quasi-Christians or what have you. And that's one thing too I wanted to ask, kind of bounce off of Robert, assuming he's still with us, that the distinction between the Old and the New Testament, Yahweh, and why it was that Christ, I mean, how many times did Christ mention Yahweh in the New Testament? I can't remember exactly, but he did. Born again, which seems to have been an interesting theme in his teachings, along with the term hypocrite. Born again 35 times. What was he going on about exactly there? So within the context of this whole this spiritual warfare that we all are saddled with, because it occurs within us as well as without. The Beatles, Sergeant
But
Pepper's, right?
Jesus believed in reincarnation, apparently, but
Obviously.
not only that, but the transmigration of souls and soul nesting. There is a passage in the New Testament where he says to his disciples, "Who do you think I am?" And one of them said, "Some of the people think that you're John the Baptist. Come back," which means, and John the Baptist had been executed. So they have this theory that a soul can nest in the body of a loved one, or a demon can possess a hated one. It's a very interesting thing. As far as Yahweh is concerned, Jesus condemned Yahweh in no uncertain terms. Jesus said to the Pharisees, and I quote, "I come from above, you are from below. If you love the Father, you would love me, but you do not. And that is because you are of your father the devil, and the lusts of your father you will do. For he was a murderer and a liar from the beginning. And when he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is the father of it." Nothing could be clearer. The Pharisees worshiped their God, and Jesus condemned him as the devil. He also said to them, "What kind of a father are you talking about? When you ask for bread, what kind of a father would give you snakes when you ask for bread?" And that goes back to the Old Testament. The Hebrews, there were no Jews at that time. The Hebrews, in their migrations, 40 years in the desert, were clamoring for food, and Yahweh was really angry at them. So he sent them a plague of snakes. And that's what Jesus was talking about. What kind of a father would give you snakes when you ask for bread? So, and he also spoke of a heavenly father that he called Abba. And he never said the word Yahweh. So this is where my poor Zionist Christians have been led into a heresy by a Freemason conspiracy to hijack Christianity and turn it back to the worship of the old wrathful reptilian deity that usurped the name of Yahweh, an imposter God. And that whole thing took 100 years. They hired a Freemason named Strong to do a concordance, a concordance between the New Testament and the Old Testament, and try to show that it's worshiping the same God. It is not. So my poor, sad Zionist Christians have been led into a heresy that could lead us all into
Robert?
end. Yeah.
There's something that I would like to bring up. You have to remember something. In the Bible, especially in the Old Testament, it shows a couple of things happening. First of all, it was determined that man shall be the king upon the earth. It didn't say inside the earth. It didn't say above the earth. It said upon the earth. And the other thing is, what made that change? Why was that determined? Why was it needed to be determined? There was a event right after that, that we had a change of popularity of a specific God. And one of these orders of the new God was in order to remove all likenesses of all the other gods.
Yes, that's true.
And that shows a power change at some level. Now, if we're going to accept aliens,
Right.
we accept aliens as being described in the Bible, okay, or whatever you want to do it. Somebody changed hands. The earth itself changed hands, and we were given a chance.
Right.
Now, I wonder who all that we may have.
Can I elucidate on that? Yeah, can I elucidate on that?
Hang on, I got cut out there because I was muted. New Testament, new contract. Go ahead, Robert.
Yeah. Well, the world was ruled by another race of entities, and in order for man to emerge, man was given the new ownership of the earth. And those entities, I think that they were a reptilian race that we would call an alien, and they were given a choice. You got to get out. You got to get off, or you got to go under. So one group went underground and became the chthonic underworld gods of the dark underworld, and the others left the planet and went someplace else. Now, another thing that you may be interested in is that I've been studying the Torah and the Talmud as well. And I have a theory that what happened in the garden was that, you want to call him Satan, you want to call him the serpent, Nahash is what they call him in Hebrew. He invaded the garden with the intention of undoing Adam and Eve, who God had set up as the new rulers of the garden. And what he did was he seduced Eve. And my theory from long ago was that he had a disease that contaminated Eve. And I gave it the name the serpent virus, and contaminated them with a sickness that I call the snake flu. This affected their DNA, deprived them of their higher consciousness, and damaged the telomeres of their DNA. If we were able to reproduce our telomeres perfectly with every reproduction of a cell, we would never grow old and we would never die. But the telomeres were damaged, they lost their immortality. And in reading the Talmud a couple of months ago, there's a site called Torah.com that I subscribe to. I came across a Talmudic interpretation of what happened in the garden. And it literally says that Satan injected filth into Eve, and as a result, contaminated her and her offspring. So the DNA of the human genome was damaged, but instead of destroying it all, God put it through a plan to repair it. And this is what I believe is the proper interpretation in theology and metaphysics that's called the reparation of Christ, that the sacrifice he made redeemed us all. But what I think it means is that Jesus Christ was the offshoot or the product of a long-term genetic engineering program that was going on in Qumran under the Essenes, and the Dead Sea Scrolls says the angels were coming and going from Qumran on chariots of glory. And they had a sacred precinct in which only the people, those people who walked in perfection, that's the term they used, which meant that they were perfect physically and they were morally and ethically perfect, and no one else who didn't qualify could enter. Then it says they had strict purification rituals. And it says that if an Essene woman should come in contact with angel seed on her arms or on her thighs, she had to go through a 10-day purification ritual, be in isolation in a tent for 10 days while she became purified. In my terms, as a scientist, I would say what they call ritual purification, we call decontamination. And that's why I believe that Jesus and John the Baptist were these two offspring that had been genetically engineered generation and generation, repairing the human genome so that
and what
Adam would come back.
I'm sorry, to finish your thought, that Adam could,
That it was the reconstitution
rebirth
of the Adamic gene, which was perfect.
the new man,
yes,
perfected and set aright.
Correct.
Yeah, and let's not forget. A lot of people don't know this. Oh, geez, are they gonna shut us down? No, we got 15 minutes. Apparently, God only knows. It's because I don't know. This other chats are going, but we're gonna have to end it whenever they drop the call here with us. Unfortunately, thigh is a euphemism apparently for a woman's genital area. I've heard that's with this old speak euphemism back in the day. So come again.
It makes sense when you look at the Greek.
Oh, I know what else I was going to add. What is the Greek? You're saying Greek? What is it? Koine? Greek?
No, the Greek alphabet. Fine.
Thigh. Well, was that like theta, or what are we saying exactly? I don't know that letter. It's a letter?
Yes. I'll see if I can find a copy.
Okay, all right. Koine Greek, folks, if you're interested in this area of conversation, that's where to go. That in Aramaic. To hell with this modern day English nonsense. That's it's problematic. It's loaded. It can be very, like I believe as Robert was talking about just a short time earlier. The Schofield Bible. How many times have we had to, reference the Rothschilds this show? Should be doing more on Skull and Bones, I guess. But did they back the Skull and Bones back the Schofield Bible? Maybe, but it was primarily, according to the late great Tex Mars, it was a Schofield enterprise essentially. That and I believe the Rapture. That's all ties into it. And modern day, political. Is it Victor Rothschild and the rise of the Zionist movement, Congress, a very elitist, project at the time, or campaign that they were working on rallying, kind of working to do what they can to generate support for, all climaxing, of course, within the context of World War II and the Holocaust. Cui bono, folks. So,
Jeffy,
yeah.
Phi, and Psi. You look at those two letters
Phi.
in the Greek alphabet. Phi and Psi. PSI and PHI.
Yeah.
They are both symbols of the female vulva and the female uterus.
Which is the male? I'm trying to think. Male. Would that be A? I guess.
Oh yeah. Let me look at it.
Pretty pointy.
Alpha.
A. Yeah. Alpha and Omega. Omega is it catches everything. I guess it's the whole, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and look, our mouths. Oh, and Omega, but Om. Mega, get it? It's the great Om. Hello, hallelujah, praise the Lord. So, but the whole thing with the New and the Old Testament and Greco-Buddhism, this is one thing that really cheeses me off. The lack of discussion or consciousness, realization, understanding, just knowledge of Greco-Buddhism. 900 years is what the scholars tell us. That, I guess that's debatable, but fly at it. That's
Going back
all.
To the alphabet.
The
Going
axial
back to the
age.
alphabet, if you look at the capital letter Phi, it is a circle with a line through it. That is the symbol of the conjugation. The circle being the womb, and the staff being the male member.
Right.
The Psi looks like a vulva, ready, receptive, a chalice, you might say. I'll put the chart that I'm looking at into the chat so you fellas can.
Okay. We've only got a limited amount of time here. Before we wind things down, I'm sorry we couldn't get to all your comments. You guys, we did save a copy of what we had come to us. We always archive all the chat data, so it's not just the NSA. They probably make more use of it than we do. But, I mean, we should run that through AI and see what sort of feedback we get. Just the chat GPT. It's like, what do you think of this? Or this, that would be interesting. I think, I know you have a difference of opinion, Robert, but I've been working a little bit with chat GPT as of late, just toying around with it. It's like, So as far as questions, mostly question this, question that, it's very kind of, the political compass, reading a chat GPT and I think AI in general, it comes out as very leftist. Supposedly they've done like multiple tests and it's apparently very like left of center, and that's the political compass test, for anyone that's taken it, there's like 4 quadrants, and with authoritarian and more looser liberal, as it were, and left, right, and depending on how
Jeffy,
you
I don't have any objection to asking chat GPT or AI questions.
Mm-hmm.
I do have great objections to letting decision making be turned over to AI.
Yeah. How about creative production? Like, hey, chat GPT, I can't write songs. Can you help me write a song? And then you take that and then publish it. Do you think that's okay?
It's up to you. But by the way, Alan has developed his own AI.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Let him talk to you about it.
Well, we'll feature it. We'll play it. I've heard it actually, and yeah, it's good. But at the same time, it's like,
no, I mean he has an engine. He has developed like frac tools. He's developed his own AI engine.
So
it's called Factron. It's not hallucinating like the other ones do. It's specialized for investigative reporting and legal work. So it has zero drift. And
yeah, Alan.
No, I mean,
Alan, I'm just chuckling here. Sorry to interrupt. Why do you always wear the same shirt every show?
Be honest
Einstein.
with you, it's my pajamas.
Einstein.
It's my
Is
pajamas, man.
Your closet's filled with the same, like 50 of the same shirts, the gray with the black kind of dark sleeves.
It's just
like
my pajamas, man.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, you got to get you.
Okay,
are you getting up early in the morning here again shortly, or what's the deal?
Yeah, I'm going to be up at 5:30.
Okay. All right. So, geez, Yvonne, first 30 minutes are free. Solarium counseling, I believe, is the his what he has in place there via harpo.ca. Great to see you, my old friend. Hopefully we can reconnect this summer at some point. There is a reunion in the works here as far as other friends and family are concerned via the Great White North. So yeah, how you doing? We only got a few minutes left here, Yvonne. Floor is yours. Danny, stop. Danny, you're upstaging Yvonne. Cut it out. Sorry, I'll mute myself out. Yvonne, you're muted. We can't hear you. We now have what's known in the business as dead air. Whether performing music live or live streaming. Okay, there we go. Now I think we might have a little bit of action.
Hear me now?
Oh, okay, the floor is yours. I'm not sure for how long, but you better unleash. You're gonna shut us down.
I just want to say hi. Hoping you're well. Things are good. And Canada here, Cascadia. And,
any contention as far as the election is concerned? Are they still like one vote, razor thin margins, one vote? Whoopsie. It's like, where do those boxes of ballots go? Whoopsie. And just endless, so on and so. The $40 billion that the liberals, Carney's liberals, have absconded with. $40 billion of yours and mine, and for someone that repatriates potentially taxpayers' money.
Yeah, it's pretty weird.
War chest.
Gotta wonder.
Anything else though, musically?
You got a Kearney. When you're dealing with a Kearney, it's circus and monkeys.
That's right. Not your circus, not your monkeys. Still.
It actually is.
Well, it is. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we got a gig Friday, the 13th.
What are you going to be playing? Originals, Bruce Colburn covers,
everything.
Stan
my friend
Rogers
Ryan coming up from Seattle. El fiddle player. We used to play in Korea together.
Who's this?
A couple fence flat. Ryan Ritter.
Heard the
plays
name.
electric violin.
Okay.
So we're doing a benefit concert
for
my band. It's for this Lutheran youth group. They have their Up With People kind of get together, one city every summer. They meet for a week.
Up With People.
So it's a benefit.
All right.
Raise money for them.
Good stuff.
So we're doing
anything that helps to raise and lifts people's spirits. I mean, who cannot object? So, how's work going?
I'm looking for work now.
Oh no, your contract
my contract ended. I thought I told you.
Nope.
And yeah, it's unfortunate.
So did those 5 million illegals get sent packing?
No.
No. Well,
no, that wasn't real.
That was. So I see. Whoopsie. Yeah. So, but the liberals were all, we'll be 5 million. Yeah, these illegals, they got to go home, and we're gonna. So real estate prices, rent, food, medical, waiting lines. Oh, Canada's medical system is just so great. Keep giving us your tax money, Canadians. It's just wonderful.
Did you hear Coquitlam is the third most expensive city in Canada now?
Third world country for too long.
Well, third most expensive.
Well, count me out. So unless it's for like an overnighter, a one-time special.
How you guys doing?
Fine, but I'd rather talk about you. We're doing this, the 322 Skull and Bones Extravaganza. We've got a few minutes left here, so if you've got anything to add to what we've, the balance of what we have in place, fly at it. Does that significance interest you? Have you seen the talking points we have in place via the side chat end of
Not yet.
the show? Take a look. So I think it's an RTF file, something to that effect.
Yeah, Zane Ivey put up a few interesting articles
On Facebook?
Yeah.
By the way, Yvonne Malfon has been hijacked. Is that right? It was hacked and taken over by some unknown.
Yeah.
And there's still, so do not, for you, it's, Harpo is okay.
It's gone now.
What?
It's kaput. Like it's
okay, but Harpo is okay. Harpo
Malfon.
That's okay. Are you really a bad little boy, Yvonne? Let's true or false? Yes or no?
Well, Malafon can mean bad child or sick child, whatever.
Okay.
But Yvonne means grace of God, so it kind of balances out.
Oh.
So grace of God for a bad.
Oh, and by the grace of God, maybe our stream has now ended, or the grace of teams, the teams gods. So we will, I guess, thank you to everyone who dropped in and had a chance to contribute. We really appreciate your offerings, and maybe by the grace of God, we will be back. We will be back this Friday night, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 on the East Coast. Saturday at noon is when we have those feature shows here via South Korea. Oh, geez. Should I answer this first, last? Okay, we'll give it a shot. See what happens.
Hi.
We were trying to put this one to bed, but that's okay. What do you got? I know this has got some good momentum to it, this show, so we're doing pretty, and you guys can continue to stream via your end, of course, too, right? As long as you care to, obviously. But yeah, do we still? Oh my God! So we've only got Mark and Robert. So, but we can invite those other folks back here as well, too. Do you want to try that?
I think I've had my fill.
Wine. Yeah.
I've been here since. I remember I said I'd come on at 12, and then there was
sir.
a 4.
That's right. That's right.
Anyway, we can chit chat.
No. We're at. And you're getting a call via. Yeah, you're in there. So, what? Mark Drigas Productions. We'll mute.
Yeah, can you hear me? I don't know if you can hear me or not.
Mute Robert out so we don't get any echo feedback. We can hear you fine, and we are trying to wind down now. But I
don't know why it's showing me as I'm muted here.
No, I don't know either. So, but
yeah, that's weird.
Ashton
anyways,
Kushner in big trouble. How about that? Two types of artists, Cohen and Dylan. They're two of my favorites. A lot of people's favorites. But according to Ann Diamond, and it doesn't come as much of a surprise, frankly. I mean, so much within the professional music and entertainment industry, they serve the function and capacity of intelligence assets. Van Morrison even recently wrote a song called Double Agent. I encourage everyone to check that one out. It's really good. And he kind of paints a picture, for those with ears to hear. Leonard Cohen did as well, too. Everybody knows, among many other releases, songs that he wrote, that were quite revealing, frankly. He didn't hold back a whole heck of a lot. But yeah, that was a great show with Ann this past Friday. Gentlemen, I'll let you have the last word. Go ahead.
Well,
Drigas Productions.
It looks like it's just me right now. I think everybody else.
Robert's there,
on
but
my end,
he's
it looks
muted.
like everybody else is gone.
Correct. That's good because we've done a great job here. It's like nearly 3 hours. This is a lot of.
Well,
put a lot
thanks
of time
for having me in. I am live later on today, or Wednesday nights from 6 until we finish the show Eastern Standard Time. So you can come join me on my stream. and listen to the great shows that I have for, well, it's today, it's not tomorrow, but later. And we'll start out with Censorship Sucks and go to Jack Carey after that.
All right. Let me tell you this much, too, just to end on this note. It's interesting because we're scrolling through our talking points, and just out of respect for the man and his memory, his music, we weren't big fans at all, really. But there's something about the way that he died that just didn't add up. Kurt Cobain. Remember the Nick Broomfield documentary, Kurt and Courtney? Check it out, folks, if you get the chance. Nick Broomfield, BBC, Kurt and Courtney. According to El Duce, Hoke, Courtney told him, "I need a favor of you. My old man's a real asshole. I need you to blow his fucking head off." Just a week later, El Duce mysteriously ended up getting hit and killed by a train. However, the promise of $50,000 or more likely helped persuade someone. So $50,000 is what he said on camera. The Nick Broomfield documentary. He was dead within a week, hit by a train. That's how the story goes. And just so many things, the whole story that do not add up. I do believe, she's a black widow, and she had him off. And there were people within their circle. And the two of them, as with John and Yoko, they were on the outs, John and Yoko. A lot of people don't know that. They try to, the picture, the legacy that so many like to paint for whatever reason. I guess they have there's an agenda at work. But there's also a version of events where they were on, as they had in the past, they'd broken up. They were on the outs, on the skids. Once again, John wanted out. And I guess he did manage to achieve that, not in the way they'd hoped, however. So, cui bono, once again. And a lot of people don't know this either. The following night, there was a David Bowie Elephant Man Broadway performance. David Bowie Robert might remember this. David Bowie was set to star in a performance of The Elephant Man. John and Yoko had their seats reserved. Guess who had their ticket sitting right beside John and Yoko? Anyone? Anyone want to take a stab at that? You're muted out, Robert, just to let you know, if you can find your mic button. One, Mark David Chapman.
So who was it?
Mark David Chapman.
Oh, he was stalking him then.
Well, with a little help. You think that was just a coincidence?
I am coming to believe that it was a CIA hit because John Lennon was just becoming too powerful. Too powerful a voice, anti-war, and so on.
Absolutely, yeah. Do you know how long it took for the media to cover and report on who the doorman that night was? The main doorman to the Dakota. They hid that for a long time.
Well, I only found out about it about a year ago.
Jose Perdomo, Jose Operation 40. See, it's like George Bush of the CIA. It's like, oh no, not that George Bush of the CIA and so it's like, oh no, not that Jose Perdomo of Operation 40, Bay of Pigs, right? That's what the bunkers would have us believe. And it's like, I don't know, man. It doesn't look too good here. Even his sons, I'm not sure about Julian, but the younger one, Sean, has spoken out about it being a conspiracy, the assassination. He only said, I think, on record maybe once, and the people around him advised them that it was not necessarily the best thing to talk about.
I think John, Jimmy, and Jim were taken out.
John Lennon, Jimmy, and Jim. Yeah. Yeah. Jimmy was. Oh, he was murdered. Yeah, he was murdered. Absolutely. Jim, Jim Morrison probably too. That's right. That's a good point. Yeah.
That's what happened.
He was in a. Do you know the story with Morrison?
He was the son of the admiral who was in charge of the fleet off Vietnam.
Right, Admiral what was his name? George. What was his father's name? But he was central in the whole. What was that? The whole the reason they got into Vietnam. The Phantom boats.
The Maddox incident.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
USS Maddox.
Right.
Pretend that we got attacked to have a justification.
What was that? Yes, but there was also it wasn't the what the hell? Why can't I? With Vietnam, there's a famous and the incident that the Maddox was involved in with these Phantom boats. Remember? Like,
it wasn't Phantom boats. They intentionally misinterpreted the propellers of other U.S. Navy vessels and pretended that was torpedoes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and there's no semblance at all between the sound of a torpedo. The propeller of a torpedo has a different frequency than that of a destroyer, escort, or any other ship. By the way, there was a UFO hearing in Washington a month ago, and somebody replayed it yesterday. I was watching it, and they talked about a UFO that went into the ocean, a USO.
Yeah.
And it moved with the speed of a Russian torpedo and came up behind a U.S. nuclear submarine. It slowed down, it maneuvered, it followed, and it was swimming in its wake, and then it just turned and took off.
Yeah.
Like a bat out of hell.
And this is via where exactly? Who reported on this? Is it Congress?
This was reported during testimony during the House
Committee?
House Committee on UFOs. Yeah.
Gulf of Tonkin incident, folks. That's what we're talking about here. That's what we're trying to, as far as, track down the information regarding the Gulf of Tonkin. So I'm pretty sure that Morrison's father, whose name we're still looking for here, was it? I can't believe it. I can't remember. But so here's the thing. Do you know with Morrison in Paris, the deal was why his death was such a mystery? They said, he just ended up, he was in the bathtub with this wonderful, this smile on his face, and that was it. So he overdosed on heroin, which could have been true, actually. But apparently he was in a club with some people, some maybe, operatives or heavies, similar to these sort of spooky type characters, as was Jimi Hendrix's manager, Jeffries. Was it Mike Jeffrey? Mike Jeffrey, I believe, who then, just a year or two after Hendrix's murder, supposedly died in a mysterious plane crash. Some people think he pulled a D.B. Cooper and bailed on the airplane, because he was skilled and equipped in that. He was, once again.
I'd like to hear what Leon would have to say about Jimmy's death, because we've had Leon Hendrix, Jimmy's younger brother, on a few times.
Really?
Yeah. And
you've never asked him that?
No.
Do you want me to tell?
Trying to help promote him because
sure.
His sister,
great.
His sister sues him every time he uses the Hendrix name.
Oh my God! But
because and his sister is his stepsister.
Oh jeez.
Okay.
She's
they married his father. Okay.
Her mom, I guess.
Well, yeah, her mom's mom, and then she came along later.
Right.
So she's younger than Leon and Jimmy.
Sure, of course. Yeah.
So, but
that's incredible.
When it all came down, she owned all the names.
Yeah. Well, she's just jealous because she doesn't play. She doesn't play guitar like her stepbrother does.
Actually, actually, Leon's pretty great. I have some music from him.
Do you hear what I said,
he did
Mark?
a song called Voodoo River.
Right.
It's great.
Did you hear what I said?
Huh?
You didn't hear what I said?
Sorry about that.
Yeah, 2 ears, 2 eyes, 1 mouth. Especially when on other people's streams, just a friendly kind of reminder. But thank you for what you've offered and broken down there for us. With respect to. I just made it off the kind of a quip off the cuff comment that she's just jealous because she doesn't play guitar as well as her stepbrother does. That's all. Sort of, attempted a joke of sorts, cynicism. But
George Morrison was the father of
George,
Jim
yeah,
Morrison.
thank you. But do you know Jimmy? Do you know how Jimmy? So the guys in Paris, they might have had a hand, maybe, unless he went into the bathroom and shot up, because his girlfriend Pam that was her thing, was the smack, I guess, and he maybe got something that was a little too pure, or maybe once again it was, he was drunk, and then they actively helped to put him to sleep, basically make his heart stop or whatever.
I think the deep state uses drug overdoses, as a standard operating procedure.
Yeah.
Jimi Hendrix is another one.
Well,
apparently there was a lot of bad blood between Jimi Hendrix and his handler or his manager.
Yeah. Do you know how he died? Hendrix, you know the deal there, what the story is?
Yeah.
And Eric Burden, Eric Burden was really close to what was going on.
Jimi Hendrix died like Dylan Thomas. They say that he drowned in his own vomit.
They held him down and filled his lungs with red wine and I think pills as well, is how the story goes. But it was ridiculous. That to think that just, I don't buy it at all. It doesn't look good at all.
Neither do I.
Yeah.
Do I.
They thugs.
They were all deep state hits.
His manager was deep state, and he got these two thugs to come in and do the deed, man. And they got rid of the guy. So it was a pretty sloppy job, if you think about it, because there's been others, like with even Kilgallen, that was pretty sloppy, And
same thing. Overdose.
Yeah, she never drank. She never did barbiturates ever.
Well, she drank, socially. But they found two types of barbiturates in her system.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So, and there's an endless number of issues and talking points we can get to, but this has been an epic stream show, segment number 322 of World Pirate Radio News, our Skull and Bones Extravaganza. Look at those fireworks taking off down in LA, huh? How about that? So, sorry once again, apologies, we couldn't get to all your comments. There were just too many coming our way. Unfortunately, you folks are really going above and beyond the call of duty. Oh, look at the body language there on that. I mean, and her eyes and everything. It's just sad. So, and that she's, and they tell us she's a leader. Robert Morningstar via Substack, Morningstar Report. Of course, let's hear the times once again, Robert, and then to you, Mark, and we will call it a night.
Okay, my shows are on Sundays on Studio A from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern, and on Mondays from 10 p.m. to 12 p.m. on Studio B. So A and B, Sunday and Monday, 3 to 5 and 10 to 12.
You have all that information over on your Substack as well.
Yeah,
too,
when you go to Substack and any of the articles, they have all the listening. Plus, we're also broadcast on Zeno FM and Voscast FM.
Truth Stream is another platform along with HomeNetwork.tv, correct?
Yeah. TalkStream, I think.
Okay. All right.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you, Robert. Happy sailing, Mark. You betcha. Tally ho. All right. So, Mark, go ahead.
All right. I have shows today from 6 until we close down, and the 3 shows that we have are Censorship Sucks Roundtable Radio Show, Paranormal Intelligence Agency, and then the Vixen's Vault. And then on Sunday, I come back live again for Censorship Sucks with a little bit of comedy and mixed in with that. That goes from 8 till 10 Eastern time.
We're still working on getting
us out on a lot of different platforms. We're everywhere but YouTube.
Incredible. And we're still working on getting Censorship Sucks, trying to line something up where we can have him on as a guest. I think you've even talked about a potential joint effort between the two of us, but we'll just whatever manages to manifest, we will happily do what we can to accommodate everyone to the utmost. So thank you, Mark. All the best. Happy sailing. And for everyone who contributed, of course, once again, really top-notch, top shelf, high quality, independent, underground, live streaming, pirate radio content and material. We very much, of course, do rely on your support in whatever capacity, whatever way you can offer it. The PayPal donations, pirate1radio@protonmail.com is a great way of going about doing that, along with the Patreon approach. We've got our merchandise in place, let's not forget. So that's really something you might want to, take a look at. We didn't showcase the merchandise this week, but galacticfire.com is the link you've got to just look out for, take a peek at, and I think you'll find it's pretty impressive merchandise that largely Sonia Galactic has been responsible in helping to produce. Are we going to be back this coming Friday night? That's up in the air. Just have to play it by ear. Once again, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 out on the East Coast. Same as the news this week, of course. WPRPN, the main website address, WPRPN.com. Hope everyone enjoys the rest of their week. This has been Hump Day, of course, here via South Korea. We've got a new president. Things have stabilized somewhat via this very strategic Asian-based geographical linchpin. Speaking of linchpins, my God, look at the eye candy that we've just come across there. Not in a literal sense, of course. That's for after the show, I suppose. But on behalf of Captain Long John Sinclair and all the rest of the crew here down in Skullport Harbor, until we meet again in these high, often all too intrepid digital seas, Jaffe Ryder here reminding you, keep your ear to the ground and eyes to the sky. Tally-ho!